Faites l'appel, Monsieur le greffier.
Monsieur le Sénateur Gorst.
Présent.
Monsieur le Sénateur Farnham. Madame la Sénateur Ferguson. Monsieur le Sénateur Lefondre.
Présent.
Madame la Sénateur Valois.
Présente.
Madame la Sénateur Moore.
Présente.
Monsieur le Sénateur Pallett. Monsieur le Sénateur Mezek.
Présent.
Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Hélier. Madame le Connétable de Saint-Laurent.
Présente.
Madame le Connétable de Saint-Sauveur.
Présente.
Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Brélade.
Présent.
Monsieur le Connétable de Grouville.
Présent.
Monsieur le Connétable de la Trinité.
Présent.
Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Pierre.
Présent.
Monsieur le Connétable de Sainte-Marie. Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Ouen.
Présent.
Madame le Connétable de Saint-Martin.
Présente.
Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Jean.
Présent.
Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Clément.
Présent.
Madame le Député Martin.
Présente.
Monsieur le Député Southern. Madame le Député de Grouville.
Présente.
Monsieur le Député Lewis.
Présent.
Monsieur le Député Tadier. Monsieur le Député Higgins. Monsieur le Député Masson.
Présent.
Madame le Député Pinel.
Présente.
Monsieur le Député de Saint-Martin.
Présent.
Monsieur le Député de Saint-Ouen.
Présent.
Madame le Député Doublé. Monsieur le Député Labby.
Présent.
Monsieur le Député Wickenden.
Présent.
Monsieur le Député de Sainte-Marie.
Présent.
Monsieur le Député Truscott.
Présent.
Monsieur le Député Young.
Présent.
Monsieur le Député Ash.
Présent.
Monsieur le Député Morel.
Présent.
Monsieur le Député Guida.
Présent.
Monsieur le Député de Saint-Pierre.
Présent.
Monsieur le Député de la Trinité.
Présent.
Monsieur le Député de Saint-Jean.
Présent.
Madame la Députée Lehegara.
Présente.
Monsieur le Député Ayer.
Présent.
Madame le Député Perchard.
Présent.
Monsieur le Député Ward.
Présent.
Madame le Député Alves.
Présente.
Monsieur le Député Pamplin.
Présent.
Madame le Député Gardner.
Monsieur le doyen.
Notre aide soit au nom de Dieu qui a fait les cieux et la terre. Amen. Seigneur Dieu, Père éternel et tout-puissant, qui a établi les gouvernements et les puissances de la terre, pour le règlement et pour la conduite du peuple, et qui nous a commandé d'avoir toujours pour but la gloire de ton saint nom. Nous te prions qu'il te plaise de donner à cette assemblée le don de conseil et de prudence, d'unir le cœur et les affections de tous ceux qui la composent, de la conduire tellement toi-même par ton Saint-Esprit que toute leur délibération est accompagnée de ta bénédiction. Réussisse au bien et au soulagement du peuple qu'il te plut de commettre à leurs soins. Car nous t'en prions au nom et par le mérite de ton Fils bien-aimé Jésus-Christ, notre Seigneur, qui nous a enseigné de t'invoquer en disant: Notre Père, qui es aux cieux, ton nom soit sanctifié, ton règne vienne, ta volonté soit faite sur la terre comme au ciel. Donne-nous aujourd'hui notre pain quotidien, et nous pardonne nos offenses, comme nous pardonnons à ceux qui nous ont offensés. Et ne nous envoie pas en tentation, mais délivre-nous du mal. Car à toi est le règne, la puissance et la gloire, au siècle des siècles. Amen.
Monsieur le Sénateur Farnham.
Défaut.
Madame la Sénateur Ferguson.
Présente.
Monsieur le Sénateur Pallett.
Présent.
Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Hélier.
Défaut.
Monsieur le Connétable de Sainte-Marie.
Défaut.
Monsieur le Député Southern.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy Tadier.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy Higgins.
Excusez.
Madame le Deputy Doublé.
Malade.
Vous jurez que Madame la députée Doublé est tellement indisposée qu'elle ne peut pas assister aux États sans exposer sa santé. Madame la députée Gardner.
Sir, Deputy Gardner has an appointment in the UK today, hospital appointment. Will be in tomorrow.
Excusez. Les états sont constitués. Firstly, this morning, could members welcome His Excellency Lieutenant Governor to the Chamber? I have one more announcement. The bailiff has received a letter from Dr. Helen Miles indicating her intention to resign from the Public Accounts Committee, and under Standing Order 133, that resignation now takes effect. In terms of the order paper, Section B lists the tabling of subordinate enactments, and C lists the documents presented since the last formal meeting. There have been a number of propositions lodged since the last full States meeting, and they are as follows. Authorisation of deployment and use of energy conducted devices, TASARs, by the States Jersey Police, P117 2021 amendment, lodged by the Children Education and Home Affairs Scrutiny Panel. Maintenance of Jersey's credit rating, P18 2022 amendment, lodged by the Minister for Treasury and Resources. A draft Children Convention Rights Jersey Law 2000 P19 2022, 3 amendments lodged by the Children Education and Home Affairs Scrutiny Panel. Community Costs Bonus Increase, P39 2022 amendment, lodged by Senator Moore. Community Cost Bonus Increase, P39 2022 amendment, lodged by Senator Valois. Draft States of Jersey Amendment Remuneration of Elected Members Jersey Law 2000, P40, lodged by the Privileges and Procedures Committee. Draft Official Analyst Jersey Law 2000, P41, lodged by the Chief Minister. Draft Probate Amendment Jersey Law 2000, P42, lodged by the Chief Minister. Draft Stamp Duties and Fees Number 5 Jersey Regs 2000, P43, lodged by the Chief Minister. Draft Ship and Registration Amendment Number 2 Jersey Regulations 2000, P44, lodged by the Minister for Economic Development, Tourism, Sport and Culture. Draft Regulation of Care Regulated Activities Amendment of Law Jersey Regulations 2000, P45, lodged by the Minister for the Environment. Draft Regulation of Care Standards and Requirements Amendment Jersey Regulations 2000, P46, lodged by the Minister for the Environment. Draft Regulation of Care Transitional Provisions Jersey Regulations 2000, P47, lodged by the Minister for the Environment. MC Property Tax, P48, lodged by Deputy Tadier. Huston's Filmon, P49, lodged by Deputy Massel. Revised Code of Practice for Engagement between Scrutiny Panels and the Public Accounts Committee and the Executive, P50, lodged by the Scrutiny Liaison Committee. Draft Proceeds of Crime, Amendment Number 7 Jersey Law 2000, P51, lodged by the Minister for External Relations and Financial Services. Ministerial Responsibilities, P52, lodged by Deputy Young. Draft Sanctions and Asset Freeze and Amendment Number 2 Jersey Law 2000, P53, lodged by the Minister for External Relations and Financial Services. Draft Limited Partnerships Amendment Number 2 Jersey Law 2000, P54, lodged by the Minister for External Relations and Financial Services. Draft Unlawful Public Entertainments Jersey Regulations 2000, P55, lodged by the Minister for Home Affairs. Draft Non-Profit Organisations Amendment Jersey Law 2000, P56, lodged by the Minister for External Relations and Financial Services. Amendments to Standing Orders Written Questions, P57, lodged by the Privileges and Procedures Committee. Amendments to Standing Orders Land Transactions, P58, lodged by the Privileges and Procedures Committee. Amendments to Standing Orders Election Declaration Form, P59, lodged by the Privileges and Procedures Committee. Amendments to Standing Orders Removal of References to Senator, P60, lodged by the Privileges and Procedures Committee. Havde Parlaido, P61, lodged by the Constable St Helier. Accommodation for Temporary Workers, P62, lodged by the Deputy of St Peter. States Meetings Remote Participation and Proxy Voting, P63, lodged by Deputy Gardner. Amendments to Standing Orders Machinery of Government Subcommittee, P64, lodged by Senator Valois. Monitoring of Arms Length Organisations and Green and White Papers, P65, lodged by Senator Valois. GST on Menstrual Sanitary Products, P66, lodged by Senator Moore. Millennium Town Park, Government Support for Extension, P67, lodged by the Constable St Helier. Channel Islands Lottery, Allocation of 2021 Proceeds, P68, 8, lodged by the Minister for Economic Development, Tourism, Sport and Culture. Draft Domestic Abuse Jersey Law 2000, P69, lodged by the Minister for Home Affairs. Suspension of Drive to Net Zero, P70, lodged by Senator Ferguson. Public Sector Employment Contracts, P71, lodged by Deputy Higgins. Greffier of the States Consent to Appointment, P72, lodged by the Privileges and Procedures Committee. Parishes Green Waste, P73, lodged by the Constable of St Brelard. Carbon Neutral Roadmap, P74, lodged by the Minister for the Environment. Technology Accelerator Fund, P75, lodged by the Council of Ministers. And Compromise and Non-Disclosure Agreement, P76, lodged by Deputy Higgins. There's nothing under sections E to H. There are 26 written questions under section I. And then we come to oral questions. The first oral question, Deputy Tidey, is to ask the Minister for Children Education, but there has been an intervention.
Sorry, sir, I
Deputy
just
Ward.
the best time to ask. I emailed. the
No, it's
ministers-
not the best time. It's start of public business,
Okay, thank you,
Deputy,
sir.
so
Just
we'll,
checking.
we'll come to that. Deputy Tadier to ask the Minister for Children Education a question. Deputy Tadier.
I'm just having trouble accessing my order paper, so I'm going to be using Deputy Ayres. Thank you, Deputy. Further to the answer given to written question 45 this year, and in particular Part B, which said that the decision on whether to reinstate the £40,000 per annum to fund language assistance in primary schools would be made this year, will the Minister provide the Assembly with an update? Thanks.
Minister.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is currently no funding allocated to continue the previous relationship with the Alliance Française that specifically funded their language assistance in primary schools. This evolved as we developed the French experience model, which followed a successful pilot that the Deputy will recall was rolled out to all local primary schools. This required additional investment, including the reallocation of some of the resources previously allocated to the Alliance. Secondary schools continue to access language assistance to support their examination years for students entering modern language qualifications. So it's important to note that funding for all streams of education follows a commissioning model with any funding justified in terms of agreed measurable outcomes. I'll leave it there for a supplementary, sir.
So thank you. I can't quite figure out whether that was a yes or a no, but perhaps one shouldn't be so naive as to expect such a binary answer. In the written answer that was circulated to my previous question, it suggested that one of the reasons the money was cut was because of COVID. Is the Minister saying that now that isn't the reason that it was cut and it was done as some part kind of restructuring?
So in the written answer that I gave, it talks about furloughing of the during COVID, during lockdown, and that a decision was going to be made about whether to continue on with what's going on. What actually happened was that we evolved the French lessons and we rolled out the French experience model. We have we have recruitment of qualified teachers for like 1.5 qualified teachers, and we've extended French lessons to years 3, 4, as well as 5 and 6.
Thank you very much. Deputy Morrell.
Thank you, sir. I was just wondering if the Minister would advise the Assembly that the reduction in funding for this service, does it indicate a reduction in the value placed on language learning within education? Thank you, sir.
No, absolutely not, sir. The funding, rather than reduction, it's being spent in a different way, sir. And that is with the French experience that it's booster sessions for French within primary schools. It's just to pay for the 1.5 qualified teachers that extended out to years 3 and 4 in French lessons, showing that we've extended and we do more French now than we did before. And it was about trying to provide French to longer and to earlier in schools because we see it as such an important language.
Deputy Ward.
Thank you, sir. Can I ask the Minister, how long is the French experience and the language assistant provision been running side by side in schools? Thank you, sir.
Sir, I'm afraid actually I can't answer that question directly or how long it's been going, but I will find out for the Deputy and get that information out.
Deputy Southern.
Supplementary, sir?
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. I just want to ask the Minister if is it a choice of one or the other? If both have been accompanying each other, it's difficult now, we don't know how long. Is it really a choice of one or the other, or do they not complement each other? Thank you, sir.
I don't know if they would complement each other. All funding proposals, if Olivier Français comes forward with a new funding proposal or a new proposal to us, that will be looked at. We do have a new site supervisor in language that's taking up post in April this year, and we need the implementation of a new languages strategy. But until a costed formal proposal is received, we can't go further than that. But we are looking forward to the starting of a new language advisor in April that would start bringing other ideas forward.
Deputy Southern.
Yes, sir. So what we've done is replace some lessons with a strategy, how practiced we are at that. But is it not the case that the new language advisor will be taking up her place with a reduced budget? Has the budget for languages in schools been reduced?
So I don't know if the deputy is in. I said that we've employed up to 1.5 qualified teachers, and we've expanded French lessons down to years 3 and 4 that wasn't previously done. So we haven't replaced teaching with a strategy, but we are employing a advisor for languages who will start looking at what the new what languages will look like going in the future, and we'll set that up. And I'm sure that will be part of a strategy, but one that will be costed that could go forward, sir.
So again, I repeat, is it the case that the funding of languages in schools has been reduced, and will the new officer be setting up from scratch with a reduced budget? Is that the fact?
No, sir, because we're spending the same amount. We've just allocated it differently, sir.
Deputy Alves.
Thank you, sir. Given that the language strategy is due to be launched in early May, would this not be a good time for the Minister to show his commitment to languages and reinstate that funding of 40,000 to allow for the good work of the language assistants to continue?
So I dispute that again, because I feel that by actually extending French further in schools and providing teachers shows that there is a commitment to French, and about expanding it and making sure that children are learning French earlier than they were previously, that shows a commitment to the language.
Thank you. Final supplementary, Deputy Tadier.
So I would ask the Minister if he agrees with me that he's giving with one hand and taking with the other. But would he go back to his department, speak to them about languages there, find out how long the French experience that he's been lauding has been running for, because it is a very good project, but it has been running side by side with the language assistants which are provided in primary school. And does he agree that it's absolutely imperative that children in our primary schools not only have teachers, but they are able to hear a native speaker speak in the correct accent in their own language, or a correct accent in their own language? Because if you wait until secondary school for that kind of exposure, it's unfortunately too late, sir.
Sir, I can continue to talk to my department. We have qualified teachers that teach in primary school French lessons, and they've been expanded, sir. But I'll go back with what the Deputy has said and speak to my department.
Next question, Senator Pallett will ask of the Minister for Health and Social Services. Senator Pallett.
Thank you, sir. Will the Minister provide the Assembly with an update on the progress made to reinstate a full suite of stroke and injury rehabilitation services on Samray Ward at Overdale, as agreed in P 115/2021, and advise when this reinstatement will be completed?
Thank you, sir, and I'm grateful for the question and pleased to update members on the progress made. Since I made my statement to the Assembly on the 1st of March, officers have been working together to prepare, to plan and to implement the package of improvements I outlined. And to facilitate the move, working groups have been set up specifically to address the logistics of moving, the refurbishment design, the financial requirements, and community therapy provision. The representatives on those groups have been fully briefed on the decision made by this Assembly, and work has begun to establish the requirements for the move in July. A project manager has been allocated to support the groups and services to ensure the timeline remains unaffected by any risks and issues. They're tracking the actions of the work streams, keeping services to task, whilst ensuring that an oversight group is fully sighted on any risks and issues that arise. Thank you, sir.
I thank the Minister for his update, and it's good that he has got working groups up and running, and he's heading towards a reinstatement date of July. That's what I take from his answer. But could the Minister explain what work has been carried out today to relocate services currently being provided at Samurai Ward by Health and Community Services, such as the Assisted Reproduction Unit? And can he assure the Assembly these services have been consulted fully on any relocation?
Yes, sir, that work is being done and services are being consulted. So we know that we have to safely relocate a number of services, including the ARU. So we are looking at all parts of the health estate to see where services can be located. Plans have been discussed and confirmations of these locations will be confirmed shortly. And those moves are all planned to take place between May and June, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Constable St John.
Thank you, sir. Can the Minister explain his answer to written question 90, 2022, where he said there would be only 14 beds available, when the Deputy Chief Minister has confirmed to 2 written questions saying the new hospital will have up to 30 beds? Thank you.
Yes, sir. There have in recent years been 14 beds available for rehabilitation. That was the case when services were delivered at Samurai Ward in Overdale, and continued to be the case when services were moved to Plemel Ward. So we are continuing with that level of bedded care in the move back to Samurai, and that's the reason why 14 is the number. And I'm aware of the plans for the new hospital, which have come forward as a result of consultation with all involved, and I think it's great that we are able to provide a ward of 30 beds, most of which will be in single rooms, of course. Thank you.
Thank you. In answer to written question 91, 2022, there were an average of 24 patients at Samurai Ward. So how does he achieve 14? Thank you, sir.
So as previously explained, the 14 beds were for those patients receiving rehabilitation treatments and therapies. The remainder of patients on Samurai Ward were often not there for rehabilitation, but were there awaiting an onward placement either into residential homes or to domiciliary care in their own home. Thank you, sir.
Deputy Southern.
Thank you, sir. Does the Minister accept that in order to deliver these services, staffing must be kept up? And can he inform members whether or not he is using short-term contracts for specialists in this area, some as short as 9 months, in order that the figures, the overall figures, look good?
So there will be no reduction in staffing upon the move back to Samurai. And indeed, we are recruiting 3 further consultants in the area of frailty and rehabilitation. Those are additional staff. Sir, I don't have the full breakdown of which staff are permanent, which are on other types of contract, but undoubtedly there will be some who are not permanent, either because they might choose to work on a part-time or zero-hour basis, or because they may be locum posts, because that is the way health services do operate to ensure that services are covered. And I don't believe, sir, that results necessarily in any reduction in service, because these persons are qualified and are vetted before they come to the island. Thank you.
So if I may, will the Minister come to the House with the figures that is missing at the moment?
I can, if the Deputy will refine his question, do I understand, sir, that he wishes to know of all those staff working in rehabilitation, which are full-time permanent posts and which are not?
I think that's what the Deputy wants.
Yeah, I will provide that and circulate that, sir.
Thank you. Deputy Alves.
Thank you, sir. Can the Minister state whether, while this work is taking place, if there has been a reduction in any of the services that are currently being provided to patients in Plymouth Ward?
Sorry, there was a musical interlude from Deputy Lahegara. Thank you. Minister, it's over, so you can carry on.
Yes, members wouldn't have wanted me to sing along, sir, so I'm glad it's over. Absolutely no reduction, sir. We are looking hard and fast at the services we offer and want to enhance them, and we're ensuring that the community offer, and particularly the care that patients receive after their stay in Samurai or now Plymouth, is coordinated well and is thorough and gives them the support they need. Thank you, sir.
Deputy.
Thank you, sir. Is the Minister aware of any complaints that have been made by patients in recent times who are currently in Plymouth Ward, as I am aware of at least 2 who are not satisfied with the level of service they are receiving and are going through the complaints process?
I haven't heard of any recent complaints, sir, apart from subsequent to those that I mentioned during the debate we had some months ago. But I confess I haven't asked. So if the Deputy would wish to speak to me about the constituents or a patient she might know, and if I can offer any help in resolving issues, I will do so, sir.
Thank you very much. Final supplementary, Senator Pallett.
Thank you, sir. Like Deputy Ells, my main concern is ensuring islanders are provided with good standards of rehabilitation care. Could the Minister explain what he's currently doing to ensure that the experience of patients within rehabilitation services is being improved in light of the stories that were shared with this Assembly during the debate on P15? What is he specifically doing to ensuring that care is improved?
Well, sir, of course I well remember that difficult, anxious time. And it seemed to me that many of the issues revolved around communication. Communication of what our care should be, of how patients were to be looked after, and what patients could expect. And not only communication with patients, but also with their family. And of course this was during COVID, and which made communication often so much more difficult. But a very significant change, I believe, has been the introduction of what we've called a passport, which is a document which sets out for a patient coming onto the ward exactly what they can expect in terms of treatment, who will be looking after them, and when they will receive treatments. And it provides an opportunity for patients to record what they feel they need, for staff to record what has been offered, and gives a programme for their care moving forward with dates and times. And I understand that's going a long way towards addressing the communication that is needed, so that just patients can understand the pathway that they are on, and families can read this document too and understand how their loved one has been looked after. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
May we raise the defer on Senator Farmer, please?
therefore is raised on Senator Farnham. Question 3, Deputy I, is to ask the Minister for Treasury and Resources. Deputy.
Thank you, sir. Given that the UK Chancellor of the Exchequer has reduced fuel duty by 5 pence a litre, will the Minister advise whether she will be proposing a similar reduction in Jersey to alleviate the growing energy crisis which is affecting so many islanders? Thank you, sir.
Minister.
Thank you, sir. Ministers have been considering what practical steps we can take in the short to medium term to help alleviate the impact of inflation. However, we are not convinced that a fuel duty reduction would provide the sort of targeted help that is most needed by lower income households. Reducing fuel duty in Jersey would not benefit all households equally. Lower income households own fewer cars and account for a small percentage of motor fuel spending. A reduction in fuel duty would disproportionately benefit higher income households. Additionally, for obvious reasons, islanders drive fewer miles compared to people on average or low incomes in the UK. Finally, fuel duty is a valuable source of funding for the Climate Emergency Fund, which seeks to reduce Jersey's dependence on fossil fuels and, in doing so, reduce our exposure to fuel price shocks over the long term. Thank you, sir.
Deputy.
Thank you, sir. Recently in the media, the Assistant Treasury Minister mentioned that he would reduce fuel duty by 10 pence per litre before the election. And the Jersey Consumer Council is calling for an urgent reduction of 9 pence per litre. And they're also suggesting £100 vouchers to households towards energy bills. Will the Minister be implementing any of these suggestions? Thank you, sir.
Yes, and I thank the Deputy for his question, but as I said in my opening remarks, that we are looking at it, and if we were to bring forward a reduction in fuel duty, it would have to be as in a response as an emergency budget change, which is legislation which can be done, but it can't be done immediately. So it would be to be debated at the next sitting. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just say supplementaries have to be about fuel duty, not other potential solutions. Deputy of St Martin.
Thank you, sir. And if there's a higher income household, it certainly doesn't apply to fishermen who have seen their fuel prices more than double in the last few weeks. Minister talks about disproportionate benefit, but certainly when it comes to French versus Jersey fishermen in our local waters, the French are receiving over 15 cents a litre euro, 15 euro cents per litre subsidy, and there's a disbenefit there to our local fishermen who are having to compete on the same market, even though it's more difficult to get their product into Europe. Can I ask the Minister this, sir? Will she consider immediately a subsidy scheme to allow our fishermen to compete on a level playing field with their French counterparts?
So I feel I may not have been heard. This is a fuel duty question, I'm afraid, Deputy. So the answer has to be about fuel duty possibilities in relation to fishermen, not a wider subsidy scheme. That would be a different question.
Will the Minister consider reducing the fuel duty for fishermen?
Thank you, Deputy. Minister.
No, sir, I think the presiding officer has it totally right. It's got to be an overarching reduction and not just appropriate for one industry. Thank you.
Constable Simbrillard.
I was going to say my question had been answered, but the Minister's answer is far from satisfactory. The fuel duty in this particular industry is quite different in that the French government subsidise their French fishermen and our government don't subsidise ours. So I'd ask her to give consideration to the needs of our fishing industry in terms of fuel subsidies at this moment in time. Thank you, sir.
Minister?
I think I answered that in my opening remarks, sir, that we are looking at it all across the board, and it can't be particular to one sort of industry. So I can't say any more than we're looking at what we could reduce it to, or not, as the case may be.
Deputy Higgins.
Thank you, sir. Well, the Minister is saying she can't do it for one particular industry. Can she confirm that motor yachts are paying no duty or no VAT on their fuels, and is therefore that not different to what fishermen are paying?
Minister?
I think we're moving a little off subject.
No,
so-
we're not.
No, I think that's it. That's my job actually. And this did seem very much like a fuel duty question, asking whether there were differences in the application of fuel duties in the wider sense to different categories of vehicle. In this case, motor yachts versus cars, for example.
And fishermen. Yeah.
Thanks, Deputy Higgins.
Sorry,
Minister.
sir.
Minister.
Thank you, sir. As I keep saying, it's fuel duty across the board. It can't be appertained to any particular, whether it's motor vessels or fishing vessels or cars, or it can't be brought down to just one industry. It would be across the board if we were to look at reducing it.
Supplementary, Deputy Higgins?
Yes, sir. Can the Minister explain why it can't be? We have different taxes for different things all the time, and obviously in this particular area there are different rates. So why can't the Minister just do it?
Minister.
At the risk of repetition, sir, we are looking at how we could do it and where it would be most effective. And I said in my opening remarks, it is, in answer to the question, which few of the supplementaries have been, is that it would help people in financial difficulties if it were to be reduced. Now, that's what we would aim to do.
Yeah.
Deputy Ward.
Thank you, sir. Can I ask the Minister what the estimate of the cost of a 5p reduction is in fuel duty?
Sir, from an inflation meeting yesterday, I think the cost, in answer to the Deputy's question, if it was just 1p reduction, would be a loss of about £425,000.
Supplementary, sir. That's around £2.5 million. Would the Minister agree that because that is not targeted, that money would be much better spent on subsidising a bus service so that people can access for free and travel around the island? Thank you, sir.
Minister.
Again, sir, this is all being considered. We're looking at all the options across the board. And one must remember that if the duty is reduced, then we could not then enforce that it was passed across the board. It would be duty on import of fuel. It's no guarantee that that would be reacted on the retail sales.
I have Deputy Taddier, Deputy Southern, Senator Ferguson, Senator Moore, and then we will move on. Deputy Taddier.
Thank you, sir. The Minister said that she thought a reduction in fuel duty or GST on fuel would disproportionately benefit the wealthier drivers. But does she agree that actually poorer drivers who spend more of their percentage of income on petrol or diesel or even biofuel, because that also attracts duty, will be the ones more penalised by the recent increases in petrol prices, fuel prices?
I'm not sure, sir, that I can say more than I've already said, that that we are considering all ways of looking after people. I know the Social Security Minister's got a statement to make later, but we are looking at all ways to help out in this situation. But reducing fuel at the cost that it will be in reduction into the exchequer, which then funds the lower income households, is not the way to go, in my view, unless it can be across the board and not a particular avenue.
So I'll wait to hear what the targeted response is then. That might have been my second question. But does the Minister then agree that what we have here, what the government has here, is a windfall? It's an unexpected windfall to government because petrol prices have gone up, therefore certainly the GST and I presume the duty has gone up if it's a percentage. And should that windfall not therefore be used for some benefit, either to target it towards the poorer in our society who need it at the moment, or at least to use that for some kind of climate emergency fund so we can use it for transitional change to get people using more sustainable transport, which isn't reliable on fossil fuels.
So, as the Deputy will know, there's 4p already directed straight to the Climate Emergency Fund. If we were to reduce the duty by 9p, as the Consumer Council has suggested and others have suggested more, then is it reasonable that that 4p per litre of duty would not go to the Climate Emergency Fund?
So I don't know if it's that the Minister is not answering the question there.
I think she's given the answer she's going to give. Deputy Southern?
Let's see what sort of answer this produces. Is it not the case, using her own logic, that those who are wealthier drive bigger cars and therefore consume more fuel?
I think that's what I addressed in my opening remarks, sir. Thank you.
Supplementary?
But the Minister was making a completely different point around a different proposal. Is it not the case that wealthier people drive bigger cars and therefore proportionately use more fuel?
I'm not sure, sir. I don't know how many people have how many cars in their garage or how often they drive them. So I can't answer that. But in my opening remarks, I did say, it's generally speaking, the wealthier people have more cars. I've said that, so I don't know how else to answer the question. Thank you.
Even the Minister can't miss the Chelsea track.
Thank you, Deputy. Senator Ferguson.
Thank you, sir. Would the Minister, from the point of view of public information, like to tell everybody exactly what percentage of the cost of a litre of petrol goes in all forms of tax and fuel duty?
Minister.
Okay, well, I can come out with some figures. The fuel duty in Jersey is levied at the following rates as of the beginning of this year. The super unleaded petrol, 65.83 per litre. Unleaded petrol at 63.89 per litre. Diesel, 63.89 per litre. And other fuel, e.g. leaded high sulphur, at 67.97 per litre. I know that's not answering the Senator's question as to what percentage in duty, but the duty is less than the 5% GST. It's about 4.2%. Thank you, sir.
Right, so the total cost, sort of tax cost of petrol is something like, 50 plus whatever a litre. Does the Minister not think that she's being a bit parsimonious with refusing to deduct the fuel duty, which has been recommended by leading economists in the island?
Minister.
Thank you, sir. As the Senator will imagine or know, that there's been a lot of meetings about all of this in the current situation, and the economists who advise us have not recommended that we reduce the fuel duty. So we are working on it, we're considering it, as again, I repeat, said in my opening remarks, and if we do something, it will come back to the next States Assembly. Thank you.
Senator Moore.
So you'll be pleased to know my question's been asked.
Thank you. Deputy IA, final supplementary.
Thank you, sir. With the price of Brent crude currently at $111 per barrel and prices at the pumps having risen by approximately 40%, how will the Minister ensure that there is no profiteering by the fuel companies? Thank you, sir.
Minister.
I can't, sir. Ensure, because it depends when the fuel was imported into the island, as to how long it's been at the depot, as to when it goes to the filling stations, and to then, after that, as to when it's sold. So there is no enforcement agency to deal with that. Thank you.
Next question is question 4. Deputy Higgins will ask the Minister for External Relations and Financial Services. Deputy Higgins.
Thank you, sir. Following reports that Russian oligarchs have tried and may have succeeded in transferring their UK assets into irrevocable trusts, will the Minister advise members whether any Russian oligarchs on the various sanctions lists have evaded their UK and Jersey assets being frozen or seized through the use of Jersey trusts, and if so, how has this been allowed to happen?
Minister.
Thank you, sir. The Deputy will be familiar that we've set up a task force to examine customer relationships associated with Russia and Belarus and entities and assets where there is a link to Jersey. The work naturally has particular focus on sanctioned individuals and would include the examination of any structure linked to those individuals, including trusts. The task force continues to carry out its work, and I have committed to publishing appropriate and relevant monthly statistics, the first set of which will be published next week. The Deputy will be familiar with the fact we cannot comment on any active cases, including those that might involve trusts, so I cannot answer this question concerning any active investigations that may be ongoing. More generally, of course, we have made the financial services industry aware of their relevant sanctions obligations, published with the JFSC a joint risk statement concerning customer relationships associated with Russia and Belarus on the 18th of March, and we have particularly highlighted the circumventing provisions in sanctions legislation if a person participates in an activity knowing that the object is to evade sanctions.
Deputy Higgins.
Thank you. So my supplementary is it not the case, Minister, that weaknesses have been found in the system and that many companies are having to have increased supervision because of perhaps laxness in the past? Will the Minister tell us what things have been found in terms of systemic problems? I say systemic, it may only involve a few, but there's certainly cases. Will he give us indications of what they've found so far?
The Deputy realises that in answer to his direct question, it puts me in a very difficult position, because if there are ongoing cases, which is his question is really about, then it's inappropriate for me to comment on them in the public domain. The work of the task force, which was published and will be further published this week, is categorising industry, and it's not saying that there are systemic issues, but it's categorising the work that they do with firms that have a high level of Russian assets that they administer, or a high level of Russian PEPs that are UBOs. And so they are taking a very appropriate risk-based approach. And we're doing that, sir, in conjunction, of course, with the UK, and the task force that we have in Jersey works very closely and in conjunction with the task force in the United Kingdom and across Western Europe.
Thank you. Deputy Southern.
Thank you, sir. And could I ask what new measures are in place, if any, to increase over and above the normal know your client measures already in place? And in particular, have there been any extra enforcement officers taken, employed in order to satisfy that our measures are sufficient?
So if I take the last part of that question first, resources and individuals have been added and allocated to the task force work, not only in my department and in the sanctions area, but in the JFSC and right across all of the agencies that are involved in this task force work, ensuring firstly that sanctions are appropriately implemented and that there aren't the loopholes which I know the Deputy is rightly concerned about, and secondly, if there has been inappropriate activity, they are rightly brought to justice through the Jersey court system. So that's in answer to the second part. The first part, so the Deputy will know from answers I've previously given in this place, that there is already enhanced requirements for all Russian and Belarusian facing individuals or structures. Thank you, sir.
So the question remains, what new measures, if any, are in place?
So it doesn't quite work like that. The So the Deputy can laugh and show his ignorance if he wishes to, but of course it doesn't quite work like that, as he well as... I don't know if he wishes for a point of clarification, sir.
No, you can't do a point of clarification on a question. I think the Deputy needs to listen to the answer.
Arising out of the island-wide risk review, the National Risk Assessment, as I informed members at the last state sitting, enhanced procedures were put in place for all Russian and Belarusian-faced either UBOs or structures, or where there was a major connection. Those enhanced procedures are not just straightforward. They go to the level of expertise in the individual firm, the way that they have been supervised and can provide confidence to the supervisor. They go to the complexity of the individual structure. They also, of course, go to the relationships that the UBO might have. So they're very complex, but they are greatly enhanced from other normal business.
Thank you. Deputy Morel.
Thank you, sir. And I was just thinking there's a slight aside. It might be worth explaining some of the acronyms used just for the public record. The acronyms. My question, sir, is what the task force that the Minister mentioned in his response to Deputy Higgins, what legal powers does it have to compel the provision of documents to the task force to uncover the reality behind these structures, which naturally are many-layered and often created to hide things? So what legal powers does the task force have, sir?
So there's a very great difficulty, very great difference between appropriate confidentiality and the accusation that something is created to hide things. So as the Deputy knows, because he was involved in scrutinising the new sanctions legislation before he became the Assistant Minister at Economic Development, there are legal powers that I have as Minister to compel the production of information in regard to sanctions. There are legal powers that the law officers have in the ECU area. There are legal powers that the Financial Intelligence Unit have, and there are legal powers that the JFSC have. So there are legal powers in place to make sure that information is provided and that people are acting appropriately, and where they might be found not to act appropriately, that they are brought to justice.
Excuse my ignorance, sir. Could the Minister confirm that all those legal powers for all those different individuals and authorities sit within the task force as well, sir? I apologise for my ignorance on this, but I just want to ensure the task force has legal powers.
Yes, they do, sir, and that, of course, was the underlying purpose of creating the task force, was to make sure that the legal, or the authorities, as we refer to them, which are the ones that I've just described, were working very closely together appropriately with strict lines of demarcation and operational independence, but that they were brought together so that we couldn't have things slipping between the net, as it were.
Senator Pallets, then the final supplementary. Senator Pallets.
Thank you, sir. I've got a more general question, and I hope there's a very simple answer to this. Can I ask the Minister whether he believes the asset freezing legislation in Jersey was adequate to deal with the sanctions imposed by the UK government on Russian companies and individuals? And if not, is he doing anything to strengthen that legislation?
Minister.
So you could say this is a benefit of Brexit, but I wouldn't possibly say that. Of course, the sanctions legislation was amended, and we have a brand new piece of up-to-date, appropriate sanctions legislation arising out of the fact that the UK left the European Union, and it meets best practice and, of course, follows UK best practice as well.
Senator.
Sir, does the new legislation fill any potential loopholes that may have allowed Russian companies or individuals to run away with their assets before they were frozen?
Minister.
So sanctions legislation applies to sanctioned individuals and companies where sanctions are in place. And I think, sir, that is as much as I can say without wanting to be drawn into other actions that members of the task force might be taking. Thank you.
Deputy Higgins, final supplementary.
Thank you, sir. The Minister's been very evasive on all of these areas. Perhaps he can tell members how many billions of pounds of Russian assets have been discovered so far through the work of the task force that are placed through Jersey or in Jersey.
Minister.
So I have a question from Senator Mezek about the total amount of current frozen assets, and I intend to answer that question later in the order paper. I will be, as I indicated in my opening response, rather than being evasive, so I'm doing the reverse. For the first time, we will be publishing amounts of frozen assets in Jersey, the number of notifications, and I will be doing that and updating the public on a monthly basis, but I will be firstly answering Senator Mezek's question later this morning.
Well, since you won't answer my question, can I ask another one then?
Deputy, that's enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Mezek, you have the next question, number 5, to the Solicitor General. Senator Mezek.
Thank you, sir. Will the Solicitor General advise whether any provision in Jersey law enables UK seafaring businesses to employ people using Jersey employment contracts to avoid fulfilling usual employment protection rules in their home jurisdiction, as has been alleged with the recent mass redundancy committed by P&O Ferries?
Solicitor General.
Sir, the answer is no. There is no provision in Jersey law which could have that effect. Seafarers, if they are based in the UK, as I think the P&O employees are, enjoy all the employment rights which exist in UK law, and they do so regardless of whether their employment contracts are made under some law other than the law of the United Kingdom. That is so because of Section 204 of the Employment Rights Act 1996, that's the UK statute, which provides that when the application of the employee rights that exist in that law apply, and it's immaterial for those purposes, whether the choice of law governing any person's employment is expressed to be a different law from that of the UK. So the short answer is an employer cannot deprive its UK-based employees of their rights under UK law by using a Jersey employment contract. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you, sir, and that certainly is helpful. With the particular case that I've referenced in the question, we know that many of these people who have been made redundant were employed through Jersey-registered companies. In the events that people are working for Jersey-registered companies but reside in the UK and do their work in the UK, are they bound by the Jersey provisions when it comes to redundancy? For example, the provisions on notifications to the Social Security Minister and consultation with workers?
So no, employment law is primarily geographic in its application. So, for example, our employment law applies in terms of its rights and its remedies only to people who work wholly or mainly in Jersey, and that's a geographical test. The short point is that all of those employees of P&O, because they are based in the UK, will have the full measure of remedies available to them as a matter of UK law, if necessary, through the English courts.
Thank you. Deputy Morrell.
Thank you, sir, and I thank the Solicitor General for his answer. Could he advise the Assembly, is there a difference between someone working on a boat, they may be based in the UK, but that route is wholly within the UK, and someone who operates or works on a ferry that operates on an international route? I think, sir, back to a time when there were some sailors operating on the Jersey ferry, which was an international route, and therefore they were able to operate under international provisions rather than the geographic provisions that the Solicitor General is referring to.
Well, I think the answer in terms of what Jersey's law is this, and it's provided for by Article 37 of the employment law, our employment law, which applies specifically to mariners. And the law is that an individual employed to work on board a merchant ship registered in Jersey shall be treated as an individual who, under his or her contract, ordinarily works in Jersey and therefore would have application to all the rights and the remedies afforded by Jersey law, unless the employment is wholly outside Jersey, that's a geographical test, or the person is not ordinarily resident in Jersey. So there has to be a geographical connection or nexus between the employee and this island for that person to have recourse to the remedies under our employment law. Otherwise, that person will have to have recourse to whatever remedies are available in the jurisdiction with which that person has a geographical connection in the sense that they are ordinarily resident in that country or they work on a ship that is registered under that country.
Deputy Higgins.
Thank you, sir. Can I ask the Solicitor General if he's been in touch with his UK counterparts and if he can explain why it is that UK ministers are blaming Jersey law for part of the predicament?
I'm not sure the Solicitor General's race runs as far as the minds of UK ministers, I'm afraid.
Well, could he tell us what the legal position is then? If UK ministers are saying the problem is Jersey law, can he explain why that is the case?
I can't speak for UK ministers. I wasn't aware that they frankly were saying that, and I've not heard that reported anywhere. But my writ, as it were, or my obligation is to advise the Assembly on the state of Jersey law. I can't speak for the views that politicians in the UK might have about our law or indeed their own law.
I have questions from Deputy Southern, Senator Gorst, Constable St. One, and then the final supplementary. Deputy Southern.
Yes, sir. So my original question, I think, stands. Is there any protection under Jersey law to employees who have a geographical connection with the UK in that, or in the fact that they are normally resident in Jersey?
The application of our law, our employment law, is that the person, the employee, must work wholly or mainly in Jersey. And that, as I say, is a geographical test. And I don't think I can provide any further answer than that. The employee, to have the benefit of our law, must work geographically, wholly or mainly in this island.
Could the Solicitor General indicate what he understands as mainly geographically in Jersey waters? Would that include round trips to the UK and to France?
Well, I imagine it's a question of fact in every case if there's ever a dispute that makes its way to a courtroom or a tribunal. But it seems to me that those words are to be given their plain English meaning. One would think that to work wholly or mainly in Jersey means that a substantial amount of your working life takes place within the island or within its territorial waters.
Senator Gorst.
Thank you, sir. Could the Solicitor General confirm from a legal perspective that there is no confusion or complexity in regard to a UK resident falling under a UK working mainly in the UK, falling under UK employment legislation, just in the same way that a Jersey resident working in Jersey would fall under Jersey legislation. So from a legal perspective, there's no confusion or added complexity in that regard.
Well, I don't consider there is any complexity or uncertainty. As I said, I think at the outset, one of the principles of employment law is that it's geographically focused in its application. The UK Act of Parliament is very specific about the application of employment rights there, and as indeed is the Jersey law very clear about the application of its rights to employees in Jersey.
Constable St. One.
Thank you, sir. And given what the Attorney General, the Solicitor General said, could you confirm that P&O, with P&O using a Jersey-based entity to employ their UK employees, does it confer them any advantage in terms of evading their UK employment responsibilities?
So no, it gives no advantage at all.
Final
supplementary, please. Sir.
Supplementary, Constable, yeah.
Would the Solicitor General, I know the legal profession not good at speculating, would you like to speculate why P&O have actually done this, sir?
I think your instinct to that wasn't a valid question, was in fact accurate. Senator Mezek, final supplementary.
Thank you, sir. I can speculate, but there is a widely held suspicion by officers in the UK that what has happened in this particular instance has constituted a breach of law somewhere. I don't think that's me. So that there is a widely held suspicion that what P&O Ferries has constituted a breach of the law somewhere. Given that they were Jersey registered companies from which these people were sacked, could the Solicitor General advise whether he thinks that that would open up an opportunity for potential legal action against those companies to be taken in Jersey, or would the law require that to be taken in the UK?
Well, I think the Senator may be referring to the suggestion that there was a failure to consult prior to the redundancies by P&O in the UK. If that were so, and if there is to be either a negotiated settlement or indeed legal action, that will have to be in the United Kingdom, for the simple reason that whatever the status or wherever the employing company is geographically, as it were, where it's incorporated, is neither here nor there for the purposes of UK law. UK law will apply, as I said at the outset, and rights and remedies which it creates will fall to be pursued in England and not in Jersey.
Thank you. Question 6 is from Deputy Pamplin to ask the Minister for Infrastructure. Deputy Pamplin.
Thank you, sir. Will the Minister explain what has caused the delay to the creation of the new mental health inpatient facility at Clinic Purnell?
Minister.
Thank you, sir. There have been several events that have contributed to the delay of the, in addition to setbacks related to the pandemic and a general shortage of construction labour, exceptionally inclement weather to start, and the need to relocate a JEC main only became apparent once the work had commenced. Additional works to remedy legacy issues relating to the existing building and essential upgrade work to address safeguarding issues that were only identified once the existing building was vacated. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir, and I thank the Minister for his answer. Given the priority of this service, and it is also an active ward very close by, can you give a reassurance and a date when this service will be up and running? Thank you.
We're doing our best to progress work, so the contractor, obviously under contract to us, must use their best endeavours to finish the work as soon as possible, sir. But the very latest will be September, but hopefully they will take on additional staff and bring work forward to complete it much sooner than that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Senator Pallett.
Thanks, sir. I very much appreciate the Minister's answer, but can the Minister explain what pragmatic oversight his department provides on a day-to-day, week-by-week basis in regards to this contract to ensure this much-needed facility is completed?
The Senator is quite right, sir. This is a much-needed facility, and there's operational oversight through property holdings, which keep a watching brief on progress.
Senator. Supplementary.
Just to answer the question, what day-to-day, week-by-week practical oversight is provided by his department? And while I'm at that, could I also ask, since the contract was awarded, has the contract been amended? And if so, when? And does it include penalty clause?
Well, that's four questions for you there, Minister.
Which one, in which particular order? Yes, sir, as I mentioned, the contract was amended. There were several things that needed to be augmented, shall we say. There were several things regarding client safety. I won't go into details, but I'm sure the Senator is aware of what I'm talking about. That needed to be addressed. So the lead nurse attends the monthly site meetings and weekly updates and aware of any revised completion dates. the estate's estate manager receives a copy of the site meeting minutes. So everything is audited, sir.
Penalty clause, sir.
I'm afraid that's... Do you have a... The penalty clause was the fourth question in Senator Pallett's...
Well, the penalty clause, yes, there are penalty clauses there, sir. But as I say, the contractors must use their best endeavours to finish as soon as possible. There are clauses in there, sir, to make sure that does happen.
Thank you. Deputy Ward.
Thank you, sir. Given the answer to the previous question, can I ask the Minister what is the current completion date for the facility, please?
As previously mentioned, sir, the latest will be September.
So is that beginning, end of September? Just some precision would be a nice answer, sir.
All I have, sir, is September. I don't have anything further than that, sir.
Check that's this year, sir.
Deputy Lehegra.
That is 2022, sir.
I think we knew that. Deputy Lehegra.
Thank you, sir. When was the last occasion that the Minister visited the site?
Personally, sir, I think that was about 8 months ago, sir.
Thank you. Final supplementary, Deputy Crampton.
Thank you, sir, and I thank everybody for colleagues for joining in, especially the chair of the scrutiny panel, and picking up from that. Will the Minister confirm by the end of the day that he will accompany us to a site visit to meet the contractors as soon as possible, preferably by the end of this week or next? Thank you, sir.
End of this week, I think the Deputy will be lucky to clear business, sir, but next week, more than happy.
Thank you. Question 7, Deputy Ward, is to ask the Minister for Treasury and Resources. Deputy Ward.
Thank you, sir. Can I ask the Minister, given the current increase in diesel fuel prices, will the Minister advise what considerations, if any, have been given to removing the level of duty from biodiesel in order to encourage conversion to this renewable transition fuel? Thank you.
Minister.
Thank you, sir. As mentioned on a previous question, the awareness of £63.89p of duty is charged, 63.89p of duty is charged on a litre of diesel, regardless of whether it has been produced using more sustainable methods. Much consideration has been given to how best to promote the uptake of transition fuels, including second-generation renewable diesel and the renewable content fossil fuels. This is a topic my department has debated extensively with the counterparts in the Department of Infrastructure, Housing and Environment. The draft carbon neutral roadmap bears the evidence of that debate, with pledges to bring forward policies that subsidise fuel duty on second-generation renewable diesel and to explore the suitability of renewable content fuels as standard grade in Jersey. So the retail price of road fuels has risen across the board. Biodiesel is no exception and is more expensive than traditional fossil fuel diesel. While I'm committed to the proposals laid out in the carbon neutral roadmap, I believe that now is not the right time to implement them and that we should consider the policies at the time they are debated by the Assembly in April. Instead, the government's immediate focus is on targeted action that will ease the increases to the cost of living for those who need it most. Thank you, sir.
Deputy Ward.
Supplementary, sir. So I asked the Minister whether she would consider again the fact that we may be missing an opportunity here because the differential between biodiesel and non-renewable diesel has gone from something like 60p a litre to something now about 15 pence a litre. So now is an ideal opportunity to make a small cut in duty in order to make that transition and change culture. Would the Minister agree that now is the time and that actually there's an opportunity being missed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I can only answer that at the risk of repetition from the previous question, that all these avenues are being considered, but it can't be done with the wave of a wand. It's got to be legislation that deals with it, and all departments are looking at what we do to best advantage those who are disadvantaged in the current situation. Thank you.
Constable Semprelard.
Thank you, sir. Would the Minister
given the complexity of fuel importation and storage and mixing, confirm that she's liaising with the various fuel suppliers to achieve the best result for residents? Thank you, sir.
The importation of fuel, sir, is not in my remit, but yes, we try to watch what happens. But as I said in a previous question, that you can't enforce, one can't enforce what the retailers do. One can only deal with the import and distribution. Thank you.
So this is a biodiesel question, just to remind members. Constable St John.
Thank you, sir. Would the Minister agree with me that it would be advantageous to remove the environmental duty element from all renewable fuels? Thank you.
Minister.
I'm not quite sure what the Connotab means by the environmental one. Is that the amount that goes to the Climate Emergency Fund?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Everything is under consideration, but of course the Climate Emergency Fund is very high on everybody's agenda, and I think it would be very difficult to remove the amount of money that goes to the Climate Emergency Fund, bearing in mind that's a much bigger problem than the current situation, which of course the Consumer Council brought up, which I understand, but they suggested a reduction in duty for 3 months. We're talking about a Climate Emergency Fund hopefully to be achieved in 2030.
So the clue's in the title, climate emergency. Surely we could take the environmental duty off of renewable diesel to assist and encourage people to use a more friendly fuel. Thank you.
So in answer to that, I think we're doing everything we can to assist people with being environmentally friendly.
Senator Moore.
Thank you, sir. The Minister's answers this morning so far have told us that there is much consideration going on, but what is the timeline on those considerations? And when will the public actually hear the fruits of those discussions?
Very good question. Thank you, Senator. The idea is that if we have to change the law, which I mentioned in answer to a previous question, as to an emergency budget, which it would be, we would have to get the law changed, which is not the end of the world, but of course then we'd have to bring it before the next and last States Assembly, and then ask for the permission of the bailiff president to reduce the lodging time. So it can be done, it is being considered.
Supplementary?
I think I'll be steering too far off the subject, sir, so I'll leave it for later.
Well, thank you very much. Deputy Southern.
Thank you, sir. And given the list of things that need to be done as a matter of an emergency, which of those is she prepared to proceed with now?
Minister?
I think I've only mentioned emergency in the title of the Climate Emergency Fund, so I don't consider that there's an emergency otherwise in this case. Thank you.
The point is, sir, that the Minister said it requires legislative change. That legislation change could be done now. Why not? Why is she not doing it now?
Minister.
Gosh, I don't think I've ever repeated myself so often in this assembly. Just to say that it requires a change in legislation if we were going to reduce the duty, which will take time, and that has to be approved by the Assembly, so it would have to be done for the next sitting. Thank you.
Final supplementary from Deputy Ward.
Thank you, sir. Can I ask the Minister, the Climate Emergency Fund is set up to try and reduce our emissions of carbon into the atmosphere and ways in which we can do that. Does the Minister not agree that by encouraging the cultural change to biodiesel, that would reduce our emissions, and therefore it's a correct use of the Climate Change Emergency Fund right now and can be done when the differential between the two fuels is less than it's ever been? Thank you.
Minister.
I can only say again, sir, that all these options are being considered. This is a particular one from the Deputy, it is noted, it is considered, and if we are going to do anything, it will be for debate at the next Assembly. Thank you.
Question 8, Deputy Southern will ask of the Minister for Social Security. Deputy Southern.
Thank you, sir. And I'll try and amend my question in the light of previous statements. Further to reports that staff recently dismissed by P&O Ferries were employed via Jersey subsidiary companies, is it the Minister's understanding that the P&O staff were employed in this way, and can she detail what recourse her department has in cases of breach of notice or consultation requirements under the Employment Jersey Law 2003?
Minister.
Thank you, sir. As every member of this Assembly will acknowledge, the treatment of its employers by P&O was, by any standards of fairness, utterly disgraceful, and I condemn the company's actions completely. I do not have access to the specific details of employment contracts, and there would be no reason for me to have this information as Minister. The staff recently dismissed by P&O Ferries were not subject to the provisions of Jersey employment law. They do not live and work in Jersey. Thank you, sir.
Deputy Southern.
In this particular case, then, given the absence of any sanctions to enforce the application of minimum wage in Jersey, what's the point of the employment law, and what measures has she in mind in order to make the employment law 2003 Jersey version effective?
I can assure the Deputy, and the Deputy could assure himself, if anyone's been on me over the last 10 years or on employment law as the Deputy, our Jersey employment laws protect people in the way that it should, the way that they live and work in Jersey. I don't know how you can protect somebody who actually said, I'm actually in no doubt that we were required to consult with the unions and we chose not to, and that was the head of P&O. You make laws and you hope people don't break them. There is nothing we can do. These people don't live and work in Jersey. The UK is the recourse. The Solicitor General just told the Deputy is the recourse. And there's nothing I can do, sir.
Deputy Ward.
So can I just confirm then that subsidiary, I need to say, sir, companies, Jersey companies, have no recourse under Jersey employment law for their employees. Just confirm that's the case with the Minister.
If they are living and working in Jersey and have a social security card, of course they come under my law. If they are not, they have no recourse through my law, and they will be dealt with in the company, and it's the UK government that's dealing with them, and absolutely harshly, and rightly so. Thank you.
And can the Minister just confirm that none of those P&O employees had a social security number in Jersey?
As far as I know, we can't find any. Why would they? They're not working here. We only give social security numbers to people who are going to take up a job in Jersey.
Thank you. No further questions. Deputy Southern with the final supplementary. Thank you very much. We now move on to question 9. We now move on to question 9, which Senator Moore will ask of the Chief Minister. Senator.
Thank you, sir. Will the Chief Minister advise the Assembly of the consideration he and emergency planning officers have given, if any, to the island's response and actions in the event of an escalation of the war in Ukraine?
Chief Minister.
Yes, thank you, sir. So I think it's quite important to put this question into context. As I understand, it was raised by an individual in a recent JP article, more broadly speaking. For the context, I should state that that person in question has previously offered his services to the government during the COVID pandemic. Those services were declined, partially because they were deemed rather expensive, sir. To answer the question, the possibility of a conflict in Ukraine and its possible implications for Jersey was raised before Christmas, and officers began considering information and intelligence about the crisis and the risks arising from it before the war began. It was formally raised at Emergencies Council before the invasion, and officials have been meeting weekly, sir, well before the invasion occurred. Since the invasion, the council ministers have met 5 times to discuss the impact of further escalation, and the Emergencies Council, sir, has also met. And there have also been, sir, 2 states members' briefings. Taking policy direction from the Emergencies Council and the council ministers, teams led and staffed by experts from government as well as other sectors where appropriate have been working on contingency plans relating to cybersecurity, radiological and nuclear, critical national infrastructure, supply chain, economic impact, sanctions, and wider diplomatic matters. And of course, sir, direct financial support to Ukraine and arrangements to welcome Ukrainian nationals with family in Jersey to escape the terrible risks they face at home. Thank you, sir.
Senator.
Thank you, sir, and I'm grateful to the Chief Minister for his answer. Could the Chief Minister perhaps assure the Assembly that communication of these discussions might be forthcoming on a regular basis in future?
Chief Minister.
Well, as I said, sir, members have been offered 2 briefings. We have also updated, I would say on a fairly regular basis, the position on, for example, dealing with the most impactful issue on Jersey at the moment, which is the direct plight of the Ukraine individuals and families who are either we are assisting financially or we're assisting the relief for financially or are coming to this island. And so there is a report due and in compliance with the proposition passed by the Assembly. A report will be presented to this Assembly this week, which will give the next update, sir.
Senator Messick.
Thanks, sir. The Chief Minister mentioned supply chains in one of his previous answers. Can the Minister confirm whether, and if so, how often discussions are being had with UK counterparts in ensuring that in any eventuality that supply chains are disrupted to the point where Jersey could be affected, that contingencies are in place?
So I'd have to go and seek the information as to how often the discussions are having, but I would point out that obviously there's been a lot of contingency planning around Brexit over the last 2 years or plus, and during COVID, in fact, sorry, more than 2 years, and therefore, sir, that all feeds into the contingency planning that is already in place, sir.
Deputy Ward.
Thank you, sir. Can I ask the Chief Minister, can you reassure that similar situation regards Brexit of us being a key part of the UK supply chain, those reassurances are in place should there be, and we don't want to see it, any escalation in the war in Ukraine that may affect our supply chains?
Sir, insofar as I can give any insurance on that front, sir, yes, sir. It is my understanding there's absolutely no difference, in terms of how I answered Senator Messick's response, i.e. the contingency planning that was put in place for Brexit, also during the COVID side of things, all that contingency planning remains in place, and very clearly supply chains are one of the issues that remain very clear at the focus of the officers who are dealing with this on a very, very regular basis, sir.
Senator Messick, did I miss your supplementary? My keenness to hear Deputy Ward.
You didn't, but I was hoping I might, since I didn't ask a supplementary, ask a single question that's not connected to my original one, if there's time when other members have asked.
We'll see. Deputy Ward, did you have a supplementary?
No, thank you, sir.
Constable St John.
Thank you, sir. Can the Minister confirm that our supply chain partners are involved in these meetings that he's indicated are taking place on a regular basis?
Sir, I will confirm directly later, sir. My understanding is absolutely yes, because the way the structure, which I think members were briefed on, and so, for example, if I use the utilities, which I know is not the same, but the utility companies do have representation on all the relevant boards. My expectation and understanding from previous structures we've got, that absolutely the right supply people are involved as well. I will go back and confirm that, sir, because that would certainly be my expectation, and it is my understanding.
We are doing well for time, and this is an important subject, so I will...
Supplementary, sir?
Ah, sorry, you were slow off the mark there, Constable.
Always wait, sir. Does the Chief Minister agree with me that it's time to review on-island stocks of essential supplies because of threats such as the Ukrainian war? Thank you.
Sir, I think from that perspective, it depends by what we mean. because there is obviously, and might have been before the Conotab was in this assembly, I can't recall now, sir, but there were discussions, for example, around emergency warehousing being required, Brexit versus COVID, sir, and there are a variety of discussions. Obviously, what you're getting involved in there is the commercial side of the supply chain versus, for example, what we need to do within the health service side for those kind of emergency supplies. Again, sir, I make the point that we have got no disruptions in the supply at all at the moment, but obviously all of this remains very actively under review, so on a very regular basis.
Senator Mezek, one question, please.
Thank you, sir. Could I ask the Chief Minister who, at both political and officer levels, is responsible for overseeing the maintenance of our resilience against potential cyber attacks should the war escalate, and how much time are they dedicating to this role at the moment?
Hopefully, for obvious reasons, I won't go into too many details about issues around cyber and cyber security. What I will obviously remind the Senator, there is one individual, by the way, who I won't name, but there is an individual who's responsible for cyber security, and that percolates down in terms of at the official level. And obviously I remind the Senator of the briefing we gave members back in, I think, 2019 in terms of the early days of the first government plan, which was around our systems and around the investment that we were putting in there. And obviously, I think members have had a further update on IT generally in the more recent past. But there is an individual who is then responsible, and we do obviously tie in both locally to people to bodies outside of government, and also into national bodies.
And the ministerial responsibility, I think, was part of the question, Chief Minister.
So it does depend on the nature of the emergency, because ultimately the buck stops with me. But obviously the initial point would be the Minister for Economic Development.
Thank you. Final supplementary from Senator Moore.
Thank you, sir. Could the Chief Minister describe how the supply chain risks in this situation differ from those of Brexit? And if you could also confirm how he prepares to communicate to the public rather than simply briefing members. Thank you, sir.
Well, sir, the point I would make is that we don't have supply chain issues at the moment. And so, and I think that's quite important in terms of not wishing to create alarm where actually there is no need for alarm in that territory. But in terms of messaging to date, so it's not been an issue that has been raised other than by one or two individuals in terms of in the public domain. But as I've said, sir, the supply chain issues are very regularly kept under review, and to date, sir, we have no indications at all that they are lacking.
Thank you. Deputy Dubley is Malad, so we cannot deal with question 10. Question 11, Deputy Southern will ask of the Chief Minister. Deputy Southern.
Thank you, sir. And I apologise to members if this question sounds familiar. It seemed familiar to me. Further to previous statements that the results of the updated income distribution survey will be published by the first quarter of 2022, will the Chief Minister advise members when he understands that the results of the survey will in fact be published?
Yes, sir, and actually I don't think the Deputy has any need to apologise at all, sir, because I have to say I am incredibly disappointed and to be answering the question the way I'm going to be, sir, because I share his disappointment. The Chief Statistician apologises for the delay in the publication of the analyses from the 2020 Living Costs and Household Income Survey. The member of staff producing these analyses had to be diverted to census processing, which has pushed back this work by a few weeks. I have relayed to Statistic Jersey the firm desire of ministers and members to see this data published, and my disappointment at the further delay. The Chief Statistician has given assurance that these results will definitely be published before the election period. In addition, sir, the new survey, which as the Deputy said and is aware, and members should be aware, the old survey was disrupted as a result of COVID, and this has been the real problem. The new survey, which will give the data that we are all looking for, did commence last year. The preliminary results are expected in August of this year, and I anticipate that will inform the next CSP and government plan as well, sir. But as has previously been offered, sir, I'd be very happy to arrange a meeting between the Deputy and the Chief Statistician on this matter.
Deputy Southern.
I find the response, as the Chief Minister says, quite incredible. But I will take up his offer of a meeting with the Chief Statistician in order to ensure that a publication arrives in time for decent treatment in the election period. The election period could be April, it could be May, it could be into June. If it's into June, then the numbers become irrelevant because you can't really analyse them. May, at the end of May, perhaps. At the end of April, definitely. I should be trying to persuade the officer that it should be able to produce something, even in a limited way, by the end of April.
Can you frame that as a question? Can you frame that as a question?
And I would ask the Minister to support me in that endeavour.
Chief Minister.
So, actually, sir, as hopefully the Deputy does recognise, I share his frustrations. And I'm trying not to make an issue of it, sir, because I understand the competing issues that that Stats Jersey are facing. I also make the point, which is why I have to be quite careful in what I say, is that the law basically does state that the Chief Minister or the Minister must not influence any decision of the Chief Statistician in the exercise of his or her responsibilities. And that does include the form, timing and methods of dissemination of statistics compiled by Statistics Jersey. And the crucial thing here, sir, is about maintaining the independence of Statistics Jersey and that they are free from political influence, which is why I find it somewhat difficult in how we answer these questions. But I think I'm in the same territory as the Deputy, sir, in expressing my disappointment. I recognise the problem, but, and sir, it was one of the things I was as equally keen on as the Deputy, that we have solid data updated from 2014, 2015, I can't remember the dates, to then influence the policies that we would have been putting in place over the last 3 to 4 years. And unfortunately, that's not been the case. We don't hopefully get another pandemic. We don't get one very often. And so that is a reasonable, I understand absolutely the reasons behind it, despite the fact it is very frustrating for all of us.
Thank you. Senator Moore.
Thank you, sir. Given that both the income distribution survey and the census were known and planned for, could the Chief Minister describe whether it is perhaps a resourcing issue within Statistics Jersey that has caused this inability to meet the deadlines on both items of their business?
Thank you.
Sir, the issue on the Living Cost and Household Income Survey was that the initial survey was happening on time, but as I understand matters, when the pandemic hit and lockdown took place in March, April, etc. of 2020, that severely disrupted the gathering of data. And when analysis was then able to take place with all the issues, bear in mind, obviously there's been a lot of moving within all departments, and obviously Statistics Jersey is independent. There's been a lot of activity which has been diverted to dealing with the pandemic. I assume, sir, the case was the same within Statistics Jersey about how they reported things. When the analysis was done, they then discovered that actually the data was not. There were a lot of issues with the quality of the data, and of course, having poor quality statistics is almost as bad as having no statistics, or potentially even worse. In terms of the census, my understanding there have been some relatively recent resource issues, i.e. I believe a vacancy arose, and therefore that is why resources have been diverted to in trying to get the census data out. My understanding is that a report is going to be made, or an announcement will be made in early April as to the timing of the first tranche of census data and when that will come out.
Supplementary. Senator Falwell.
Yes, thank you, sir. I'd like the Chief Minister to further explain the exact impact that COVID had on the publication of these particularly important pieces of data, but also whether the restructuring and the change to professional independence has had any impact in terms of the analysis of such data as well.
Thank you. Chief Minister.
So I don't think I can add anything more in terms of the impact of the pandemic. I think I've hopefully elaborated on that to a reasonable level of detail. In terms of the structuring, well, obviously the Deputy is on the working group that is looking at the statutory position, and I look forward to their report because we are all absolutely in, what's the word, in lockstep, I think, in unanimous agreement on this, about the protection of the independence of the Chief Statistician and his department, effectively, and that is incredibly important. My understanding is that it is not directly to do with the restructuring. I'm very happy to be corrected, but it is more to say that one or two vacancies have arisen, and that has caused some work, the prioritisation of the work to have to be shifted, would I think the priority in this instance being given to the census. That is my understanding, sir.
Senator Mezek.
Thank you, sir. The data provided by an income distribution survey would help identify which groups are most at risk of living in relative low income, something that might inform what a government may wish to do to respond to inflationary pressures. We can see that there's a statement due to be delivered on this later in this sitting. So can I ask the Chief Minister if the government has had any sort of indication from Statistics Jersey of what the preliminary findings of the income distribution survey may be to help them inform whatever it is they're going to be announcing shortly?
Sir, in relation to Statistics Jersey and the Household Income Survey, the short answer is no, sir. To my knowledge, the Minister of Social Security may correct me on this, but to my knowledge, there's been no direct input. However, sir, there has also been, as I understand matters, certainly discussions occurring with, for example, the economic advisor, etc. And what the Minister will be announcing is obviously the initial and timely response to matters that are facing islanders, and then obviously as more information comes to light over the next few weeks, the new Council Ministers and the new Assembly will then be in a position to make further decisions should they so wish.
Deputy Tadeo.
Thanks, sir. So I'll be more direct. Is the Minister aware that there are members of the public who certainly, I've heard them say, that they think it's completely unacceptable that there are two big surveys of the census and now the income distribution survey, which are effectively ready, but the information has not been published whilst the government and the Assembly have had to make big strategic decisions. Would he respond to those who say that, sir?
I think the response goes in two ways, sir. Number one is the overriding priority, and that is always a matter for members, is that politicians do not interfere in the production of quality statistics. And that interference is laid down in the law, and that includes on the timing of the release of that data. And that is what I'm bound by, and that is what I am upholding. And as I've said, it is disappointing, but that is the position. That doesn't mean, sir, that we cannot put measures in place that will assist islanders, particularly those who are struggling, and that is a matter for the statement that will come later, sir.
So I think we may be arguing at cross purposes. This is not about politicians interfering with the data. This is about deadlines being met, which have been set well in the past, but when the data is available to be published.
So my question is to the Chief Minister, has the Chief Minister seen any of this data, which others haven't seen? And if not, what assurances can he give us about who might be privy to that data and how that might be being used to inform policy at the moment?
So the point I'm trying to make is that Statistics Jersey is an independent body, and therefore it is independent. And we've had issues in the past where there have been allegations, not under this Council Ministers, of allegations of interference in different bodies and things like that. And we've been very clear that we do not do that. That's what the law is. And that's about protecting the quality of the data. Now, sir, and so that's that point. In terms of the census data, I should say my understanding is that the position of the census has always been that the numbers would be released in, or the first tranche of numbers would be released in Q1/Q2. And that, as I said, so in other words, that the timetable is being adhered to. And I think that is the priority, I believe, of the Statistics Department. And that, as I said, an announcement will be made in early April as to when that first date of publication will take place. I just keep making the point that that is what the law says. And I've been very, very clear that although, yes, we would all like this information, frankly, we would have all liked it a lot earlier because it could have informed better decision-making, we do not interfere in that process. Now, in terms, but as I also said, as members will hear later from the statement from the Social Security Minister, it doesn't stop us putting measures in place that we believe will assist islanders in the period between now and then when a new Council Minister and new Assembly take up the reins.
Deputy Southern, final supplementary.
Yes, sir. Just to express my disappointment and seek agreement once more from the Minister for this shambolic failure to meet his own targets.
Sir, I make the point, they are not my targets, sir, that are not being met. Sorry, start again. Yes, my targets are not being met, sir, but they are not being met by an independent body. The reason, sir, is basically the delays we've been engendered because of the pandemic we've had for the last 2 years, sir. But as I said, I will arrange, sir, that the Deputy, as we've offered in the past, that we do arrange a meeting between him and the Chief Statistician to understand the issues directly.
Question 12, Deputy Ward will ask of the Minister for Infrastructure. Deputy Ward.
Thank you, sir. So can I ask the Minister, will the Minister advise what action is being taken to avoid a bloom of sea lettuce in St Albans Bay at the time of year, as the time of year approaches where increasing light levels and higher temperatures drive its growth? Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir. So the Environment Department will be producing a report supported by scientific data which are intended to confirm where we are and help us to emphasise the importance of managing and avoiding the bloom. However, it must be remembered that this is not always within the island's gift. As touched upon in the question, sir, many natural factors play a part in producing the macroalgae blooms and so are not within our control, and therefore it is difficult to say how we can avoid a bloom. Natural events such as when water temperatures, weather conditions are particularly unfavourable for algae growth could avoid a bloom, or conversely, if they are favourable, they could encourage a bloom. In the meantime, officers from Operations and Transport Team will do what they can to minimise the impact through active clearance. Thanks, sir.
Deputy Ward.
So I must say that sometimes I think we're using up our supplementaries to get an initial answer to a question, but we'll do it again. Can I ask the Minister then, at what point does he see the beach becoming unusable as it is each year? Because it will become unusable again. And is the Minister saying that he has no control over that except clearance? And if there is clearance, can you give a schedule of that clearance so that we know when the beach will be usable again? Thank you, sir.
So I think the Deputy is looking at the wrong end of the telescope. We are Operations in Transport. We are clearing this up. We are not causing this. Nitrates on the land is something that causes this, And our colleagues in environment and planning are constantly talking to farmers and growers to reduce the quantity of nitrates they do put on the land. And this is having an effect. And nitrates are reducing. There's quite a few factors involved. Obviously, the bay warms up very, very easily during the summer months. The island slopes from north to south, so most of the runoff comes out in St. Aubyn's Bay. We have at least 4 runoff pipes taking fresh water off the land there. We have the sewage treatment works, which comes out into the bay. I mean, there's nutrients there as well, and this is all part of the problem that we're trying to control. We do have a new sewage treatment plant coming online in the not too distant future, but that's not really the problem. Nitrates on the land is the problem. People out there are doing their best, growers, farmers, dairy farmers, everyone is doing their best to reduce the nitrates because we have to watch what goes into our fresh drinking water. Our colleagues at Jersey Water do their very best to minimize the amount of nitrates going into the water. We also have to watch what goes into boreholes. So the use of nitrates is critical, sir. But as I say, we are the clear-up team, basically, that we do our best to keep the beaches clean. It's very difficult.
I think I'll have to ask you to draw your answer to
Thanks,
that
sir.
supplementary to the conclusion.
Within all that time, the answer to the question of the schedule of clearance
I think
was
you
not
get
answered.
another shot at the end, Deputy. Deputy Todier.
Thanks, sir. I'm beginning to think this is part of the government strategy to create more green open spaces in and around St Helier. Let's just hope they don't end up getting built on and rezoned for affordable housing. So there clearly is a lack of a disconnect between the Minister's department, and I sympathise, it's his job to clean the beaches up, and the Environment Department, and he's acknowledged that the problem at base is nitrates getting into our waters. Does he believe, like me, that it's a problem when the Environment Department routinely issue dispensations to Jersey Water when they go above the legal limit of nitrates that they're allowed to have in the water? Because what that does, it fundamentally stops anybody, including them, addressing the problem. And were they to be fined by the department, they would then actually start talking to farmers and saying it's completely unacceptable that these nitrates are getting into the water table in the first place.
I cannot speak for Jersey Water, sir. I know they do their very best to minimise nitrates coming into the system, but they can only work with what they have. We only have one water supply on island, and that comes from rainfall and runoff through the land. I'm not sure where the Deputy wants me to go with this, sir, but we say we do our very best. There's no disconnect. My team are in constant conversations with the environment team, and I know the environment are doing their best working with stakeholders. So I think I mentioned that I think we're down by a quarter the amount of nitrates that actually enter the water supply. So obviously there is still a way to go, but this is a problem that affects many countries in the world, from the United States, Australia and China, where you have large-scale agriculture next to the sea. This quite often happens, sir. I'm not saying it's an excuse. We do our best to minimise it, and if we can eradicate it completely, we will do.
So I heard of this phenomenon in the past called OneGov, but I'm not sure what that is. I think it's just another once upon a time fairy story in Jersey, because it seems that we don't have joined up governments. The question I would ask is that in terms of what the Minister is directly in control of, and it seems to me to be the sewer network and the water overflow network, is he able to do anything in his department to actually start to fine those who pollute in terms of whether it's an ecocide policy or about nitrates and other pollutants getting into the water table, which then not only cause problems like the green lettuce in St Aubyn's Bay, but actually are very costly to then remedy?
Minister.
Finding, sir, comes under the remit of the Environment Department, and I know they do find people. We have several reservoirs on the island, and one or two have become polluted over the years with pesticides, etc., glyphosates, and various other products that have been put on the land. And they have been, I'm glad to say, eradicated, but sometimes Jersey Water has to flush out some of the reservoirs and blend it with other reservoirs to make sure that any toxins are kept to an absolute minimum. I can't speak for the Jersey Water. I know they do their very best to provide an excellent product. But as I say, I'm not sure where the Deputy wants me to go, sir. We're not disjointed. We know what the problem is. Environment are trying to solve it. We are trying to solve it, sir.
Constable Simperlard.
Thank you, sir. The Minister alluded earlier to the new sewage treatment works. Can he be a bit more accurate as to when it will become on stream, and will it contribute towards the mitigation of this problem? Thank you, sir.
It will contribute towards alleviating the problem, sir. The water that goes into St Albans Bay is obviously cleaned before it goes out, but there are nutrients in the water that can aggravate the problem. We do have a new sewage treatment works coming online in a not too distant future. Happy to show members around that very soon. It's coming on very nicely. But as I say, we are limited what we can do. We are at the bottom end, if you like. We just clear up the bay. There is a contributing effect from the sewage treatment works, but if you're showering water that has nitrates in it, when it reaches Belizan, we can't take it out, not very little anyway. So this is a problem we have to tackle at source, in both senses of the word, sir.
Sir, can I ask the Minister to expand on not too distant future with regard to the operation of the sewage treatment works, please?
I believe at 2023, sir.
Deputy Truscott.
Thank you, sir. And could the Minister advise how much it cost the Jersey taxpayer last year to clean it up, and how much has been included in this year's budget to do the same? Thank you, sir.
I don't have the exact figure, sir. I've got it here written, but it's going to take me a while to find it. I need to come back to the Deputy on that. But I believe it's about 2,500 tonnes which has been moved, sir.
Deputy of St Martin.
Thank you, sir. The Minister answered a question from Deputy Tadeo about Jersey Water exceeding nitrate levels in drinking water, but is the Minister actually aware that Jersey Water have had to seek any dispensation in recent years?
Yes, sir. And as I mentioned, our colleagues in Environment are monitoring that very carefully. But as I say, we are just dealing with the remnants of that.
Just to press the Minister, is the Minister saying yes, he's aware of dispensations being given to Jersey Water in recent years?
I believe that is the case. I'm not totally sure, sir. My information probably no better than the deputies.
Deputy Ward, final supplementary.
Thank you, sir. It's clear from the answers that you can't stop the calls. So can I ask the Minister whether he will produce a schedule of clearance when it happens for the residents, the businesses, and indeed my dog, who hurt his leg on it last year, slipping when he was out for a walk, so that we know we can use the beaches in a way that is not just, unusable, to be quite frank.
Sir, I do not have a schedule for cleaning. Cleaning is done as and when required. We clean the beaches on behalf of tourism and the people of Jersey. We don't dictate when it arrives. Sometimes it can be quite bad, and we know there's a huge storm coming the following day, and that normally clears it. But it is awful. I want to see golden sandy beaches as much as everybody else. But it is a problem, and it's a problem we're dealing with, sir.
So if it helps Deputy of St Martin, there was a dispensation in 2020 issued for pollutants, sir.
Thank you for that, Deputy, but we've finished the question now. Constable St John.
Sir, can I raise a defer on the Constable of St Mary, please?
Defer was raised on the Constable of St Mary. Next question is question 13, which Senator Mezek will ask of the Minister for External Relations and Financial Services. Senator Mezek.
Thank you, sir. Following Jersey's adoption of sanctions against Russian nationals associated with the Putin regime, will the Minister state the total value of assets held in Jersey, which he has been notified have been frozen?
Thank you, sir. Since Russia's illegal and unjustified invasion of Ukraine, we have aligned with international partners in implementing a severe and wide-ranging package of sanctions measures. This has included more than 800 asset freeze designations of individuals and entities that were automatically and immediately enforced in Jersey as soon as they were made, requiring any assets owned, held or controlled directly or indirectly to be frozen. Since the new sanctions package against Russia was introduced, assets with a value of $259,300,000 have been reported to me as having been frozen by firms in compliance with their obligations under the Sanctions and Asset Freezing Jersey Law 2019. This figure is correct as of yesterday and is rounded up to the nearest 100,000. That's sterling, sir.
Thank you, sir, and I thank the Minister for his answer. He indicated in a previous, in an answer to a previous question on a similar subject, that he would be looking forward. He would be looking to make this update the public on this information as we go along. Could he inform the Assembly what his plans are to be transparent about this?
Thank you, sir. And yes, if I could also just clarify that number. We've converted holdings which were in dollars and euros, etc., into sterling for ease of information. I will be making a public update by way of a report to the Assembly, including the number of the frozen asset amount at the end of each month. I will therefore be publishing a report for the end of March next week.
Thank you. Deputy Higgins.
Thank you, sir. I'd like the Minister to repeat the figure as well, but what my question is, because I misheard it, could he tell me what proportion of those assets are based in Jersey property, meaning buildings and land, etc.?
Minister.
So the figure was £259,300,000, and no, I will not be giving a breakdown further than the overall amount of assets frozen, or the value.
Supplementary, sir, why not, as it's of direct relevance to islanders?
Minister.
So I'm also already going out of previous policy in what I think is in important public information, but I think what's important is the overall number rather than individual breakdowns.
Senator Mezek, final supplementary.
Thank you, sir. The value of the assets which have been frozen that the Minister has informed us is quite a large sum, and even though this has been provoked by Russia's illegal action in Ukraine recently, it could have been said before then that this was business from the kinds of people Jersey would not want to have been associated with anyway. Does the Minister think there needs to be some sort of think in future about not encouraging people from disreputable regimes with connections to disreputable authoritarian leaders to use Jersey for conducting their business?
Minister.
So I think that's a question that the whole of Europe is now, or Western Europe is wrestling with, the sense of hindsight, but we must remind ourselves that sanctions are a political tool, in effect an economic war against the Putin regime. There is no indication, as I stand here, and it wouldn't be appropriate for me to say so, that the money that is managed by currently by Jersey firms and is the subject of sanctions has done anything inappropriate. That is the work that the task force will be seeking to ascertain. So we should not prejudge that. Prior to this economic war, which the sanctions have triggered, there is no indication of a breach of Jersey regulation with regard to AML or CFT, nor elsewhere across Europe.
Final question, Deputy Pamplin will ask of the Minister for Health and Social Services. Deputy Pamplin.
Thank you, sir. Will the Minister advise what work has been done to date in regards to the implementation of the dementia strategy as part of the Jersey Care Model? Thank you.
Minister.
Thank you, sir. Work has recently commenced on developing a dementia strategy, which is an agreed priority within the Jersey Care Model for this year. To date, work has been undertaken to identify key stakeholders, and individual meetings have been held with them. Preparatory work has also started to consider what should be included in the strategy and how this may best be developed. The next steps are that a working group will be initiated within the next 6 weeks to bring together the identified stakeholders and agree the approach to developing the strategy, as well as agreeing a proposed work programme and completion date. Thank you, sir.
Deputy Pamplin.
Thank you, sir, and I thank the Minister for his answer. According to public health statistics, by next year, 1 in every 5 people will be aged 65 and over, and dementia will affect 7% of that age group. Will the Minister ensure by the end of his term that this urgent matter is addressed, that the due date for the implementation will be as soon as possible? Thank you.
Well, so the end of my term is in June, and I think this is a piece of work which needs to be thoroughly worked through, and stakeholders will be doing that during the whole of the year rather than the end of the electoral term, which is unrelated really to what they need to do. But the target is for completion by the end of the year. Thank you.
Senator Pallets.
Sir, from what the Minister said, it very much sounds as if the intention is to co-produce a dementia strategy. I just would like some reassurance from the Minister that those with lived experience, those that have unfortunately suffered from dementia, and their families will be part of that process.
That would be so valuable, sir, and I am sure that that is included within the work going on, because organisations such as Dementia Jersey, Family Nursing, Mind Jersey are all involved. It is going to be very much co-produced and not just an HCS matter. Thank you, sir.
Contabison Saviour.
Thank you, sir. Is there help now for families who have someone with dementia, or do they have to wait till towards the end before they can get state help, which means that up until then the families are having to pay to have people in homes and to be cared for?
Minister.
Well, sir, help starts with the assessment and diagnosis of patients, and then adult mental health services do provide support services, and family nursing and other care agencies are involved. But of course, where ongoing care is needed, whether for dementia or any other condition, then the long-term care scheme comes into operation, which, as we know, does mean that payment is made for services by those who can afford such a payment. Thank you, sir.
Could I?
Supplementary question, Constable?
Yes, if it's at all possible, sir.
Of course.
Thank you. The dementia villages that are in the pipeline at the moment, will they be of help, or do they need the staff, and will local people have to, will islanders have to pay for the care there?
Minister.
Thank you.
So I think a private company has mooted building a dementia village, so this is not something that government is pursuing, but insofar as it may be a care facility, then I imagine it would operate in much the same way as all other residential care, in that patients will be able to claim a benefit under the long-term care scheme for the care they receive, if they're eligible for that long-term care scheme. But there is one component, which are the living costs, which essentially we all have to pay for. Thank you, sir.
Final supplementary, Deputy Pamplin.
Thank you, sir. While the work continues this year, will the Minister ensure that work is being looked at the current pressures while we wait for the implementation, including the legal situation that care homes are finding when they cannot deliver the specialist care and the pressure that is putting on government-provided facilities? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, we continue to look at pressures and needs and try and address those as best we can with all stakeholders and partners. That includes the charitable sector and those who are providing the residential care. Thank you, sir.
Very much. That concludes questions with notice. We now move on to questions without notice, and the first period is for the Minister for Economic Development, Tourism, Sport and Culture. Deputy Masson. Deputy Masson.
So I don't believe I've written anything in the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody still has their lights are still on, or there's something up in the screen in front of me which is indicating. Deputy of St Martin.
Thank you, sir. This morning, the Treasury Minister, in an answer to a question about fishing fuel, said that government were considering their options. Is the Minister involved in discussions considering options for fuel? And if so, what is he doing about it?
Thank you, sir. Thanks to the Deputy for his question. Yes, the Treasury Minister is correct. There are active considerations going on about how we can help certain sectors of the community, economic sectors in particularly, deal with the rising costs and the forthcoming predictions for inflation. That is a work in progress. I'm strongly in favour of supporting our fishers, our fishing fleet, and I very much hope that after receiving the appropriate advice from our economic advisors to ensure any help we do give is properly used and utilised, then I very much hope we can be in a position to act and help that particular sector as soon as possible, sir. Thank you.
Supplementary question. Senator Pallett.
Thank you, sir. In light of the comments made by the Minister's Assistant Minister that the world-class skate park facility will be completed this summer, can the Minister advise whether a tender process has already begun for the new skate park, when the Minister expects a contract to be in place, and the date, even if he can give it the month, that he expects the skate park to open? So many people are waiting with bated breath.
Minister.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to check on the facts and come back to the Senator on that. My understanding is that work was actually underway, and that part of the project had been agreed and was moving forward. That's my current understanding, sir, but the Senator's question will lead me to double check on that. But I want to reiterate, sir, that I will stick to the previous position that the skate park will be operational this summer, as has always been the target. Thank you.
Short supplementary, sir.
Yes.
Just while the Minister is going to gain that that knowledge, could he also explain which elements of the skate park will be carried out by local contractors? I'm thinking particularly in terms of the contract aspect of the build. And a simple question I presume you can answer now is who's politically responsible for delivering it?
Thank you, sir. I can confirm that. Just checking my notes, sir, the current programme has the Kennervay skate park for completion 15th of July. That's the target date, sir. As Minister, ultimately, the Minister is responsible, but sport has been, as the Senator will know, sir, because he held the delegation for sport for many years as Assistant Minister. This particular part of the portfolio is delegated to the Deputy Trinity as Assistant Minister. That is where the responsibilities lie. On a working practice with the Assistant Minister, responsibility always remains with the Minister. Thank you.
Deputy Pamplin.
Thank you, sir. What is the current government forecast for inflation in Jersey, and can the Minister reassure members what his department is doing about the growing need? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Of course, we'll await the forthcoming report for the fiscal policy panel, which is due out imminently. The current forecast, well, from the Fiscal Policy Panel's previous report, the forecasts were for inflation to reach just over 4% this year. The updated forecast provided by the economics unit is predicting that inflation will peak towards the end of this year at somewhere between 5 and 6%. Deputy Martin, the Social Security Minister, will be making a statement after question time, which will outline the government's early action in helping to combat the impact of inflationary pressure on islanders. The Inflation Strategy Group has been stood up again, sir, and work is underway there, as the Treasury Minister mentioned earlier. And advice is being taken on how further support will be forthcoming. So, and I want to make it absolutely clear that the government will act to support islanders during these challenging times, so, but we want to do it on the back of proper economic advice. Thank you.
Supplementary, yes.
Will the Minister agree with me that communication is critical in this, given that, of course, we are hearing about the inflation rates rises in the United Kingdom, but the Jersey number has to cut through to islanders? Does he agree with me that communication of the Jersey position is vital, and what is he doing about that?
I couldn't agree more with the Deputy, so I'm always pleased to take communications advice from Deputy Pamplin, because, of course, he is an expert in that field, sir. It is important, and I welcome his question, because actually I think it's the first time we can state in public what the current predictions are for inflationary pressure over here. And whilst they're not particularly good, they're perhaps not as high as some people might be expecting, which is also welcome, of course. We're in the hands of global inflationary pressures on many of these items, and of course we mustn't get our inflationary pressures mixed up in the UK, sir. And although we've always run slightly ahead of the UK's inflationary pressures, this is slightly different because of our completely different reliance is different on different types of energy and how we source that energy, sir. So we don't have, thankfully, the same energy inflationary pressures as the UK.
Constable Simplard.
Thank you, sir. And I'm pleased to confirm to the Assistant Minister that the excavation work for the skate park at Simplard is underway, and I've got a photograph in front of me to prove it. But allied to that, sir, the construction traffic to achieve the well-deserved park is having an effect on the cycle tracks approaching it. And I just wondered, sir, whether it'll be his department taking on responsibility for putting that back in order for the benefit of the cycling fraternity, or is it another department? Thank you, sir.
Can I thank the Constable just for confirming that work has begun. As I said before, that was my understanding, and I'm pleased that he's confirmed it. The project, sir, has responsibility for building the park and returning the area to the state it was in before construction works started, and the project team handling that will ensure that happens, sir. Whether that's ultimately falls under my departments who are managing the project, or the Department of IHE, which will have further input, I couldn't tell him, but I can assure him that it will be put back to exactly how it was. Thank you.
Supplemental question?
Yes, sir. Please, can I ask him to, should we say, sharpen up on that conversation? As my understanding, there was a bit of uncertainty from the department who are presently managing it, who's going to be looking towards particularly the financial costs of so doing. Thank you.
I will say, but I'm surprised to hear that, because it's always been the understanding on the project that the project would be complete and there would be no disruption or long-term changes to the surrounding infrastructure. So I'm surprised to hear that, sir, but I will seek clarification and provide the Constable as asked.
Deputy Higgins.
Thank you, sir. Just following up on the inflation questions and the answers given by the Minister. The UK is forecasting that inflation will be 7.4% in the fourth quarter of this year, and that real household disposable incomes are going to fall by 2.2%. Now, I accept that we don't have the energy cost increases they have, but at the same time, inflation in Jersey has always been above the UK level because of transport costs, etc. So how confident is the Minister of his figures for inflation going forward? And, well, I'll leave it at that for the first question, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm very confident in our forecast, sir, with the caveat, of course, that there are global uncertainties, especially caused by geopolitical disruption currently. So we need to keep updating our forecasts. But for example, sir, and I do have a comparison of UK and Jersey, the breakdown and the different inflationary pressures over different categories, which I'm happy to share with the Deputy. But for example, the UK's reliance on gas is 34% of the population, whereas our reliance is 4%. We also use a different form. We use liquid petroleum gases. The UK use natural gas. Also, we source our electricity from the French connection, if I could use that expression. And we have the advantage of having long-term hedged pricing, which also leads our economists to, after working with the JEC, to predict that there are, whilst they're likely to be rises, so there are likely to be far smaller than the UK, so that accounts for the bulk of the gap between our inflation, what's predicted here, and what's predicted in the UK. So there are lots of smaller subcategories, which I can go through now in detail, sir, but it might use up all of my time, so I'll send it to the Deputy, if that helps.
Very much. Supplemental, Deputy Higgins?
No, sir, I'll just wait till I get those figures and follow up then. Thank you.
Very much. Senator Moore.
Thank you, sir. The Minister championed the introduction of the co-funded payroll scheme 2 years ago when we went into lockdown. Now there's a group of rather stressed members of the public who are being asked to repay some of the monies that they received under that scheme. And what is the Minister's view of the advice that was given to claimants at the time, in particular with regard to the provision of gross income?
Thank you, sir. The introduction of the co-funded payroll scheme, as members will know, was key to ensuring that businesses and livelihoods were protected throughout the pandemic. And I have to say, sir, I think that has succeeded as well as could have been expected. I remember too well, sir, the challenges we all faced around the Council of Ministers table, working with colleagues, ministers, assistant ministers, other states members, with Deputy Morrow, who was chair of the relevant scrutiny panel at the time. The challenges of putting in place a scheme to support business and livelihoods that was appropriate, because the landscape was changing all the time as the pandemic gathered momentum, sir. And given the financial responsibility of government to ensure taxpayers' funds are properly used, there had to be quite a long list of terms and conditions attached to the granting of payroll support, sir. That officers worked quite often round the clock to literally put that in place. And I think that obviously did lead to some confusion. Not intentional, sir, but for example, one of the early forms did state that submission should be made based on average monthly gross income, and I think that was changed later in the scheme, and that's led to the confusion that we see in place now, where claimants who have been asked to pay back money are stating in some instances that they were following the rules at the time, and of course there's some conflict about that. So I'm not quite sure how we're going to get around it, but just for the record, I know the Treasury Minister wants to ensure that that is dealt with properly and that the taxpayer...
And we have to ask you to bring your answer to a close, we're well over the 1 minute.
Thank you, sir. Is repaid, sir. But for the avoidance of doubt, I want to fully support the businesses that are in these challenging times, sir, and I think the government has a duty to do that.
Supplemental, Senator?
Thank you, sir. Simple question, really. How does the Minister wish to show his support for those businesses who are struggling to make repayments and, in fact, do not feel that their requests for repayment are justified?
Thank you, sir. I'm not sure I've got. I think all the support has been beaten out of me over the past 2 years. I've said. The Senator said so, together with other ministers and other members, we've all championed the business support schemes. But I will continue to work with the Treasury Minister and persuade the Treasury Minister where she needs to be persuaded. She needs to be persuaded quite a lot these days with her tight control of the Treasury, sir. That I think we have to remember that the real challenging times these businesses have gone through, and we must do whatever we can, sir, to ensure that we don't take any businesses out of play now, sir, by claiming monies back that they can't afford to pay and allowing the appropriate time and method and process to do that. Thank you.
Indeed. Senator Pallett, will you simply draw my attention to Senator Moore's need for there's only about 1 minute.
I'll be quick. So, I'll shorten the question. Could the Minister update us on where he is with the aircraft registry, i.e. how many aircraft he has and what's his intentions?
Thank you, sir. I currently understand there are three registered aircraft, sir. I understand Scrutiny received a private briefing from the Assistant Minister, who has delegated responsibility for this, sir. The long-term plans for the registry are being considered. Currently, we've always said from the word go this wasn't a short-term plan, and if we were to close the registry now, we would be writing off previous investment in it. And so the current plan is to maintain the position, sir.
I'm afraid that brings the time available to a close. Very well, the next Minister is the Minister for Children and Education. Deputy Ward.
Thank you, sir. May I ask the Minister, given the importance of online learning opportunities, can the Minister confirm his support and funding for online degree courses, particularly when small numbers of students are involved? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. I think online degree courses are a really, really helpful tool. But we have to do more about online learning altogether. There's a complete difference between learning in a classroom.
Sorry, sir. I meant on island. Sorry, sir. I thought I'd said on island. Apologies. Before the Minister goes into an answer of something and I just say that wasn't what I asked, it was on island. It may have been my pronunciation. Sorry.
Does that assist you, Minister? The Deputy clarifies his question relates to on island.
Apologies.
Sir, we need to do better at changing, and that's where I was answering there, which is there is a difference between turning a classroom lesson into an online lesson and actually creating a lesson to be taught online. They are two different things, sir. I do support online learning online, yes, sir.
Supplemental, Deputy Ward.
Yeah, so the question was about on-island learning. Let me rephrase it. The courses, the degree courses we offer in Jersey, mainly at Highlands College, are they supported? Particularly given the circumstance where I believe one course with a small number of students has been cancelled at the last minute after students may have received their confirmation of the course. And can the Minister make a pledge to look at this in order to provide these opportunities that those students will not have anywhere else?
Sorry, sir, and I'm sorry to the Deputy for the confusion in his question. Yes, so I was made aware late last week that there were some courses where students have been told they were not going to be continued. I am meeting today at lunchtime when we go to recess with staff and Highlands College to go and discuss this matter and see if we can find a resolution, sir.
Right, Deputy Masson.
Thank you, sir. And I was going to ask a question in this area as well. Does the Minister agree that one of the great advantages of University College Jersey is that it allows mature students the ability to retrain and reskill themselves on island, and therefore to withdraw a course midway through their course, so at 2 years when it's a 3-year course, would be a great disadvantage to these particular type of students?
Sir, the statement that the Deputy made is correct. In this instance, it was a 2-year course where there was a possibility of a top-up at the end, and this is where this has fallen down. The university has always made it clear that that they would look at placements when they are going through the courses to see the viability. I am absolutely determined to see if we can find a way forward with this, sir, to help those students that are left in that way. But the Deputy is right. For mature students, our offering at University College Jersey really is really one of the best options that some of them have.
Supplemental question?
Thank you, sir. And therefore, does the Minister think if there is a small shortfall in order to ensure these courses, the Minister has funding available in order to support these courses if appropriate? And if not, would he approach the Treasury Minister in order to secure these funds?
So that's exactly the conversations I'll be having at lunchtime, sir.
Going to Arbison Brillard.
Thank you, sir. In a similar vein, would the Minister agree that our grant scheme only allows one chance of a funded 3-year course, and therefore once that's used up, there would be no more funds if a student's only option would be to start a different course?
I'm not sure if that's utterly true. I think that certainly in this instance, to go to the extra part, the 3rd year funding could be requested through our grant scheme. So it is still possible to go ahead, but I know it's not actually plausible, as the Deputy Masson's question, for some people to be able to go off island to be able to do the 3rd part of their course, which could create, if they want to carry on in education, to try and go somewhere else. So yes and no, sir.
Supplemental comment?
I thank the Minister, sir.
Deputy Haggerah.
Thank you, sir. Having only looked on the website in the last 24 hours, it would appear to me that courses or degree courses at Highlands College have actually reduced over the last few years. Is this due to the lack of participants on those courses, or is this due to a lack of tutors? Thank you, sir.
Sir, I believe that we've actually increased our offering for courses along the lines of what the economy of Jersey is asking us and need within the island. So the information I have is that the courses have increased, not reduced, sir.
Supplemental, Deputy?
Thank you, sir. I would disagree from the perspective that when I looked, there is very little financial courses. Previously, there was, I think, 3 or 4 different offerings, whereas there is now would only appear to be one, sir. And also in other areas like art and design, etc. So it was just to clarify that the courses have increased, and by how much then, sir?
So the University College Jersey has expanded its degree level study to 10 major subject routes to meet student, parental and employer needs on the island. So maybe the volume of a particular course may have reduced, but the availability of other courses and the plethora of courses has expanded, sir.
Well, Deputy Pamplin. Deputy Pamplin.
Apologies, sir. Given the recent tragic news of the loss of a young islander recently in the island, where our hearts continue, and I'm sure members will agree, to the family as they move forward, what has the Minister and his department done in relation to this, reviewing what services are available for young people in regards to their mental health?
Sir, we have continued to expand with Couth, and yes, and we have increased our amount of awareness and advertising and support across the schools. The tragic loss of a young lady in the island has been really difficult for so many islanders, sir. But we have put support services, and we've increased support services in areas where we know it's most needed. And all of education staff and teachers have been on heightened levels to make sure that we can see if there is undue stress for any students, sir.
Supplemental, Deputy?
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank the Minister for his answer. Can you give us an indication what feedback he's had of recent weeks from staff and anybody who's had interaction in where the acute need is? Thank you, sir.
Sir, as the Deputy are aware, we have been a lot through an island plan in the last couple of weeks. My senior leadership team give me confidence that that continual conversations are happening every morning with heads and their teachers the heads and the senior leadership team in education. That might not go directly through to me, sir, as there is a lot going on with the island plan and catching up on other business. But I am comforted to know that the conversations are happening at a senior level to make sure that we do target where needed at an operational level, sir.
Conor Harbison-Saviour.
Thank you, sir. Does the Minister feel that he was to add things to the curriculum like home economics and family planning stroke life would be very good to help the older generation coming through as to what is going to happen when they actually do leave college and do leave school? Thank you.
I thank the Constable for her question, sir. Can I just ask a bit further? Increased levels of family planning at a university level or at college level, is that what the Senator was asking? Can I just clarify?
No, before they leave school, sir, whilst they're still at school, right. And to be educated onto how things are going to be when they actually leave school or when things could happen, if that's all right.
Right.
Thank you, sir. So this is actually something that's been requested by the Youth Parliament to me, and I made a commitment to go to the Curriculum Council with the Youth Parliament, which we have, to discuss this. I'm in the Curriculum Council, I think later this week, if not next week, to continue the conversations about increasing areas of financial management and family planning within the PSHE curriculum. So yes, Constable, sir, I agree with the Constable that it is something that's important, and it's being something that's being requested by the young people of this island, sir.
That's lovely to hear. Thank you very much.
Yes, Deputy Morell.
Thank you, sir. And I'm asking this question, sir, effectively on behalf of a young islander and in response to Deputy Pamplin's question. In his response to Deputy Pamplin, the Minister said that the Department for Education was looking at how best to target mental health services for young islanders. But I was approached by a young islander who was particularly concerned, and her critique was that there is the Yes service and there is CAMS, and there is nothing in between, sir. And I was wondering how the Minister would respond to that particular critique.
How would I would certainly say that the school is also a big part of making sure that there's a consistent people to be able, teachers and staff or somebody to go to. We have COOTH, we have Yes, we have CAMS, and we have the schools, we have the Family and Children Hub also. So I would respond saying that the help is out there, and the teachers, the schools do know where to point, and the advertisement does show it as well, sir.
Supplemental, Deputy?
Thank you, sir. And I thank the Minister for his answer. This particular islander is concerned that the Yes service is very informal, it's a drop-in service, it's easy, but it's very low level. It's having a chat. CAMS is a referral service where you have to be referred via your GP to get there. And for young islanders who have slightly more complex mental health issues or want to speak to people in depth about their issues, going to their school teachers may not always be the best way forward. Would the Minister confirm to the Assembly that he is willing to look into this potential gap in provision of mental health services for young islanders?
Thank you, sir, and thank the Deputy for his question again. Certainly, if the particular islander wants to come to me directly, I can help, or through the Deputy himself. There are more services online now to help in this area in multiple places than before, but of course we'll always keep this under review, and if I start to hear that there are deficiencies or there's apparent deficiencies, we need to resolve that as soon as possible, sir.
Deputy Tadier?
Thank you, sir. Can the Minister confirm that a 2.6 increase in student grant levels has been agreed, and if so, does he feel that this is adequate given the significant increase in living costs in the UK where the monies are likely to be spent?
So, yes, I have agreed a cost of living rise in the maintenance part of the funding for university. And I think it's a significant increase than we've ever had before, so I'm happy to be able to put up the amount of money in maintenance grants, sir.
I think the question was, in addition, did you think, given the cost of living increase in the United Kingdom, it was adequate?
Sir, I'm going by the cost of living, and I will have to wait and see if that's the case or not, sir.
Supplemental, Deputy Taddy?
Thanks, sir. Yeah, just to try and pin the Minister down on the first question is, can he confirm that it's a 2.6% increase in the student grant which he signed off? And if so, that represents clearly now an older figure which is not really realistic compared to the rampant inflation we're seeing more recently.
Sir, it's been a long couple of weeks. I do believe it is 2.6, or it's very close to that figure.
Very well. That brings the question available to this time available for this Minister to an end. The next question period is to the Chief Minister. Questions for the Chief Minister, Senator Meze.
Thank you, sir. Would the Chief Minister agree that questions without notice period to the Chief Minister is an important exercise of democracy in this Assembly to hold him to account? And would he further agree that any suggestion that it be abolished should be dismissed as the anti-democratic nonsense it is?
Chief Minister.
Sir, without going into what I suspect is a supplementary question of the Senator, I do support, oddly enough, the positions of Kwon to all ministers, because I believe, sir, it keeps all ministers on their toes. I would, of course, recommend its extension to scrutiny chairs in due course, sir.
Supplemental, Senator?
Thank you, sir. And then can we therefore count on the Chief Minister to robustly oppose this proposition in whatever form it may come in, be that in the proposition in this Assembly, or in fact perhaps some theoretical suggestion in a wider election campaign?
Sir, I know there are people who have different views about how the Assembly runs. That will be a matter for any future Assembly. And sir, I believe my understanding in terms of what the Senator is referring to is effectively a consultation exercise. One does have to remember in the overall context of making sure that obviously this Assembly focuses on its work for the public, sir. But to go back to the fundamental point, sir, without knowing any alternatives at this stage, I do believe that Kwon do serve a very useful purpose.
Comment St John.
Thank you, sir. Does the Chief Minister support a Jersey Homes for Ukraine scheme?
Sir, as a fundamental principle, yes. But, and I hate to end this, start the next bit with a but, one's got to make very careful and clear what the consequences are of adopting that scheme directly. And so it is very difficult to translate directly the UK scheme into a Jersey scheme. But let's, if it helps, sir, because I'm sure it'll be relevant to other discussions, the activities we've taken, sir, in dealing with the Ukraine crisis of very firstly the actions that Jersey Overseas Aid took, the 350,000 done within a matter of days, the £1 million then done within the week, and then obviously what we're now presently focusing on is assisting those Ukrainians who have direct contacts with the island. There are, I think, to date about 12 that are on island now, sir, and we're expecting obviously more to be coming down. We know, I think there's at least 2 other families en route, and those numbers obviously will flex and will likely increase. What we've got to make sure, sir, which is our most immediate focus, is that the right support, and that isn't just financial, that's obviously medical, educational, potentially dealing with people who've been through severe trauma, are in place for those people who are coming. That's the main focus now. Obviously, we're then considering what else we can do beyond that. We've got to make sure we've got financial support, big financial support, for helping people off island. We've got to make sure we're in the right place to assist those people who are coming into Ireland first, sir.
Supplemental question?
Thank you, sir. Given the Chief Executive's recognition yesterday at the PAC that vacancies in HCS are a significant risk, would the Chief Minister consider offering roles in health for suitably qualified people?
The short answer is yes, sir. If somebody If somebody comes over who is able to work and has the right qualifications, I see no reason at all, sir, why they should not be able to take that place and contribute to the communities.
Deputy Higgins? Deputy Higgins?
Sorry, sir, having trouble. Yes, would the Chief Minister advise us what progress has been made on the digital property register that was approved in September 2020 and for which he signed a ministerial order, I think, authorising £100,000 to do the work? Can you give us an update as to where that's actually got, sir? Thank you.
I mean, as the Deputy knows, it's another area where I do share a frustration that, having had a decision in the Assembly, that it seemed to fall between a number of schools, which was the reason why, sir, at the end of it, I've set up the scoping exercise and funded that to the tune of £100,000. I say I, so it's ultimately taxpayers' money. I've not had an update on that scoping exercise and where we are, sir. I'm very happy again to arrange for the Deputy to meet the relevant people and to get the update, sir. But it is happening, in my view. The overall principle is sound, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. I will take the Minister up on his offer.
Very much. Deputy Ward.
Thank you, sir. Can I ask the Chief Minister, in a public hearing this year for the review into accountability, in the review of the response to COVID with children, I've got confused over our reviews. The Chief Minister stated he needed more data to understand the use of food banks by families on the island. Can I ask the Minister what he's doing to gather this data, and has his understanding of the use of food banks increased since that time?
Sir, I can't remember the date of the review, but I rather suspect that it was before the Ukrainian invasion, sir. So obviously our focus has been dealing with that more direct issue. So I've not had an update on the data, and obviously, sir, I will reach out to find out what the position is.
Supplemental, Deputy?
Thank you, sir. And of course, we all have concerns, and we don't want to see what's happening in Ukraine happening. But, sir, can I ask the Chief Minister, does he feel that the use of food banks on this island is a sad reflection of Jersey, and what action would he take to prevent the need for such use, particularly as it does seem to be increasing?
So that, I think, is the exact reason why we do need data around to check, to understand the reason and rationale behind the use of food banks. What I do know, sir, what I've been informed, is that the use of food banks, for example, I'll say in the United Kingdom, is operate under very, very strict conditions, and it's actually limited to how often you can access it. And there are quite strict criteria, whereas here I understand, I do not know, it's obviously somewhat less controlled. And therefore, sir, we've very much got to understand what the circumstances are, because we do have, sir, a very good income support system, which in theory should be supporting most people, sir. But obviously, as we know, it doesn't support people who've been here for less than 5 years.
Deputy Taddy.
Thanks, sir. In his capacity as Chief Minister, does he agree that questions with notice, oral questions, are an important part of holding any government to account, and therefore does he wish to see that period reduced from its current 2 hours more, which generally allows all members to ask questions that they wish, to a period of only 40 minutes in the future?
I think I refer the principles, sir, I think those principles apply to my previous answer as well, sir. That the answer I gave previously applied to this one as well, sir, emphasising that my understanding is that part of that is a consultation exercise, sir.
So in that case, if the Chief Minister doesn't agree with it, would he tell his own party leader, his elected party leader, who's been promoting a series of policies to curtail these kind of accountability and democratic measures from taking place in a future government, that he doesn't agree with them, sir?
I'm not too sure if that's a matter for debate and question in this Assembly, but I'll go for your judgment.
Well, it's not a matter for which you are responsible as Chief Minister to what you say to people on the outside, but if you wish to address the question as to whether you are...
I can address the question, sir, which is my understanding it's a consultation exercise, and that actually, sir, the challenge is for those of us who live and work in which is sometimes regarded as the bubble of the Assembly, and what members of the public see and what they consider outside, and therefore are seeking views and as I said, responses from members of the public and in general informing ultimately policy. But so it is very much a matter for the next Assembly. I do think question time as a whole, if that's the right expression, serves a very useful purpose. The question will be, is the length of time and the style it approaches. But as a principle, not having question time would not be a good move, sir.
Deputy Pamplin.
Thank you, sir. Will the Chief Minister give a current snapshot of the government's handling of the pandemic, of where we're at, and what the position will be for charging Islanders for their LFT testing, which comes into force in England on the 1st of April? Thank you, sir.
Sir, from recollection, I have to add, there's been quite a few things going across our desks recently, is that the principle of LFTs and free LFTs, I believe, continues on looking at the health minister until June, and then it will be assessed. Other than that, sir, the basic principle, as members will know, we deferred the decision of making isolation non-mandatory until the end of April, and that's the essential position we're going to have to keep under review. We have that balance between, I think, a great urge to absolutely go back to complete normality versus the principle, obviously, Omicron, or COVID as a whole, is still out there. And it, I will give a statistic, so it is sort of relevant, that members may have seen it, that for over 80s in China, where I can't remember what the vaccination rate is, Hong Kong rather, which is lower, significantly lower than here, the death rate was something like around 5%, whereas in New Zealand, where the vaccination rate was very, very good, and bear in mind, I think we're at 100%, it was 0.2%. So in other words, one will still have to have measures in place going forward, in my view, certainly around the vaccination rate and keeping an eye on developments across the global communities. But that doesn't mean, sir, that we shouldn't be trying to go back to normal.
Supplementary, Deputy Campbell?
Yes, thank you, sir. And always my favourite question, does he have any upcoming engagements around that for Islanders, form of a press conference, an update, giving the pressures of what's ahead of us with the election, etc.? Thank you, sir.
Sir, from recollection, we do have a final Ask the Minister scenario where we can give relevant updates, and I think, I'm not too sure exactly what date that is, but I would imagine that would probably incorporate it. Press conferences, sir, are always slightly, you obviously generally have to have something to announce, so it will depend what we do towards the end of April, but equally one wants to be cautious around getting too close to election periods. But I think, so the probable right place would be to, on the final Ask the Ministers, and we can provide an update as part of that, I would think so.
Senator Moore.
Thank you, sir. Following the answer of the Economic Development, Tourism, Sport and Culture Minister with regards to the co-funded payroll scheme, will the Chief Minister commit to prioritising a solution and brokering agreement between his two ministers?
Chief Minister.
So I think we are going to work with the relevant ministers to arrive at solutions.
And a time frame, sir, because the end of the month, which is the cut-off date for those who have repayments outstanding, is fast approaching.
We work together as expeditiously as possible, sir.
Deputy Truscott.
Thank you, sir. Could the Chief Minister advise the Assembly to any positives that he brought back from his recent trip to the United States of America? Thank you.
I'm delighted, sir. Actually, sir, from the measures we put in place in 2019, when the Jersey Finance Office was opened in New York, I'm informed, sir, and I believe it's assets under management, I wouldn't want to be quoted, sir, we've seen an increase in business of something like 150% in the last 3 years. I can say that the number of fund providers and the number of funds has significantly increased. And I think that's just one positive, sir. So from the point of view, and there are Jersey firms actually setting up or looking to set up in the United States with the point of view of bringing greater business and ultimately employment and all those benefits that come with it. On top of that, sir, we had political engagement. I engaged actually with our direct contact, who I know relatively well, with the overseas aid programs that we're doing in Ethiopia, who hovers between the US and obviously Ethiopia. I engaged with an individual to look at the potential trust that's being created on the Jersey Coin Hoard, and obviously we had political engagement in both New York and the US, and in Washington, including in the British Embassy, around the ability of us, for example, to gain access, for example, to consul premises if we wanted to promote the island. So overall, sir, from the point of view of promoting the island, I think it was a very useful trip, sir, and it's one, actually, we have a really good message to tell, not just in the US, but it's those type of engagements are going to be increasingly more important in what is going to be a difficult world ahead, sir.
Supplementary question? Anyone else have any questions for the Chief Minister? There's maybe 1 minute left. No? Very well. That closes questions to the Chief Minister. We now have 2 statements on the order paper, but I wonder if I would ask the Chair of PPC, Deputy Alves, I've seen in the email exchanges that there's some suggestion that we make a different arrangement for luncheon and possibly for evening sitting, and I wonder, as luncheon adjournment is coming up, now might be a time to deal with that if you're ready to do so.
Yes, thank you, sir. So I've spoken to a couple of members who have obviously already made arrangements for lunchtime today. So I'd like to propose that as of tomorrow, our lunches are shortened to 1 hour between 1 and 2.
Right, so the Assembly would adjourn at 1 o'clock and resume at 2 o'clock for the rest of the week after today.
That's right, sir. Please, thank you.
Very well. Do you wish to make the proposition then?
Yes.
Is that proposition seconded? Yes. Does any member wish to speak on that proposition? All those in favour kindly show. Yes, that's adopted. Very well. We shall do an hour next. Did you have any proposition relating to evening sitting, Deputy? You don't have to do it now. You could do it later in the week. I'm just asking if you wanted to do it.
Yeah, I think it may be best to wait till later in the week.
Very well. The next item then on the order paper is a statement to be made by the Minister for Social Security and relating to access to free period products. Minister.
Thank you, sir. Members may be aware I committed to report back to the Assembly on the issue of access to period products in Jersey. This commitment was made in response to an online petition in December 2020 on this matter, and I'm pleased to be able to fulfil that commitment today. Challenges in access to period products is a global issue, and Jersey is no exception. An interesting number of jurisdictions, including those close to home, are recognising the impact that the difficulties of accessing period products have on young people, whether that be on their mental health, physical health, or their education. Research conducted in the UK by Plan International in 2017, the first of its kind, found that 1 in 10 girls, 10%, have been unable to afford sanitary wear. Almost 3/4, 71% of girls admit that they have felt embarrassing buying products, period products. 49% of girls have missed an entire day of school because their period, of which 59 have made up a lie or an alternative excuse. 64% had missed a PE or sports lesson. These findings are shocking, but sadly are issues which are affecting our own children and young people here in Jersey. The findings of our local survey, which I set out in my answer to written question 85/2022, highlighted that there is a clear need. This is further demonstrated by the valuable work of volunteers from the Red Box Project Jersey, who are providing products to a majority of our schools, as well as from anecdotal reports from teachers, past and present. They have been buying products from themselves to give to students who need them. I am sure members will agree that our children and young people should not miss out on their education, not feel ashamed or stigma because of something that is a natural and normal part of life for half of our population. That is why I'm delighted to announce today that following agreement with the Minister for Children Education, free period products will be available in all schools in Jersey from September 2022. Products will be available for all learners in schools who need them, whether that's because they have forgotten their products, cannot afford their products, or have come on their period unexpectedly. This commitment is a positive step in removing barriers to healthy, active educational outcomes for our children and part of our commitment to putting children first. We will also help to reduce the unacceptable stigma around this issue of periods and address the overarching gender equality and dignity issues that affect all learners who menstruate. I hope members will agree that this is a positive contribution towards further ensuring that all our children and young people in schools can learn and achieve their potential. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Minister, there's now a question period of up to 15 minutes that questions can be asked to the Minister on matters arising out of this statement. Senator Moore.
Thank you, sir, and I commend the Social Security Minister and the Education and Children's Minister for this decisive action. Will the Minister go further and commit to supporting the proposition which will add period products to the medical supplies that are exempt of GST?
Well, actually, the Minister would like to go further than that because what they've done in Scotland is actually made period products free, and this is the start. So I think tinkering with a few pence is not really going to help. So this is the start. We've done it very shortly, in a short time frame, and I would like to go better and do, as I say, the Scottish version.
When will that be, sir?
Well, as I've just said, this started when I was first asked there was a petition, and then I was asked a question in the last Youth Assembly. I was working with the ex-Education Minister, Deputy Masson, and it can be done. I'm just keeping an eye on Scotland as well, and it'd probably be the new Minister to see how you actually practically get it to the, get the product out there. Schools is simple. People go to school, and that's where they need them. But, I still say it's better than tinkering a few pence off of a sanitary towel. Thank you.
Deputy Tadia.
So I was just going to ask about that last point, sir. Has she started any consultation work with key stakeholders in the community? For example, well, I won't mention any names, but there will clearly be places where adults who have similar needs, who of affordability, would like to go and pick up these products either in anonymity and for free if they're struggling with affordability, sir. And who does she envisage the major stakeholders are in the community that she has or will speak to?
Well, as I say, I think that's totally the next step because I'm working with Deputy Dublé and other states members on menopause, which I know is a different issue, but then we have different products that, again, only women will use. I would say I'm following Scotland really closely. You've got to sort of take bite-sized chunks to actually get something done. If I'd have tried to do everything in the first go with the Education Minister, we wouldn't have got this today. Next step is to absolutely look at that. It's absolutely to look at the people that are working now with replaceable products for the environment. We don't want to cut anybody out. We want to know, that the best products are going into all schools. And this will be primary schools as well because young ladies are starting their periods earlier. And they are the ones who probably will be caught out first because they've not expected it or experienced it before. And the stigma needs to go. It should be just like going and saying, I've got a headache, I need some medicine.
Supplemental, Deputy Tadia, was that?
No, thank you.
Very well. Deputy Morell.
Thank you, sir. And I really do thank the Minister for her statement. I think it's an excellent initiative. Would the Minister advise the Assembly as to what she believes the costs of this particular initiative are to make period products free in schools? And also, as she mentioned, making period products free to society, how much does she think that would cost?
From the top of my head, I have 5 million in Scotland, and I've got a bigger population, but it's the whole population. We've got a ballpark figure, but we're literally going out to tender as we speak, so I can't give a figure. But we know it's coming, thankfully, the Education Minister fought for it, it's coming out of the SIPES budget. So that's exactly what it is. Thank you.
Supplemental, Deputy Morell.
Thank you, sir. Really, it's just to pick up on the last aspect. Does the Minister, I'll just repeat it, really, does the Minister have an approximate an idea of the approximate cost of making period products free to all islanders who require them?
No, I don't. Not free to all islanders. As I say, I've been concentrating this. There was a survey in schools, and that will be the next bit of work. Obviously, you need to know that. But as I say, this 5 million is I think in Scotland, but I could be wrong. Somebody could Google it and tell me I'm 5 million out, but I haven't got an idea. Thank you.
Deputy Alves.
Thank you, sir. And I'd like to add my thanks to those of everyone else, and the Red Box Project have also asked me to pass on their thanks as well. The Minister touched on sustainable period products, and I'm just wondering whether there has been any sort of work done around that to encourage women and young girls to look at things like period pants and moon cups and things like that.
Well, did I get an education? It was my assistant minister he was minister then, who's now my assistant, told me all about them. And there is actually a lady wrote to me literally yesterday saying that they are trying them in people who in primary schools, and people who have started having their first period, because once you get used to this reusable products, they're quite good and they're great for the environment, etc. So we're not cutting anybody out, and we think there's lots more work to be done. It was getting to this hurdle, announcing it, and they're free as of September. And I emailed, or my secretary emailed back the company yesterday, or charity, and said we will be working with you, but things are moving so fast and we won't be ignoring anybody. I have met with Red Box early on.
Supplemental, Deputy Alves?
Yes, please, sir. So will those free products include items like the sustainable options?
I absolutely hope so. Absolutely, yeah. I think they should. They're I think relative new. Well, they've probably done a 100-year cycle, but they are new again. So you know what I mean. And absolutely, thank you.
Constable Brillard.
So thank you. Whilst being supportive of the initiative, would the Minister just elaborate with regard to the supply to the society in general, whether discussions have been taking place with regard to distribution? Because it seems to me that the options are pharmacies, supermarkets. Has she discussed this with any of those bodies? Thank you, sir.
Again, no, Constable. As I say, we broke it up in two chunks. We know I think the petition was for everyone on the island, every woman on the island, and to know that amount of time we had left in this assembly, we could do this, but it's not. This is where it stops. My legacy report will say, but it will be whoever. I mean, children's are done, because that's the children's minister, but I am not doing this with the hat on as social security. It's my diversity and inclusion hat, which I wear over here on the left of my shoulder, sir. And so it needs to be included going forward. As I say, I don't know how they do it. I've tried to find out, but yes, it would be through, I'd imagine, people, pharmacies, anything, people who sell them.
Supplemental comment?
Yes, so just I would urge the Minister perhaps to work with the Economic Development Minister to develop that conversation. Thank you, sir.
Oh, absolutely. As I say, this will be going forward, and we will do that, or the new Minister will do that. Thank you.
Deputy Sir Martin.
Thank you, sir. And as the Minister says, this commitment is a positive step in removing barriers to healthy, active educational outcomes for our children. I thank her for it. But will she go further, sir, and commit another positive step and provide free access to doctors and dentists for children under 5?
Well, every child on income support, it is free under 17 to go to the doctor, and I'm running at the moment a catch-up COVID for every child between 11 and 18 to go to the dentist. I'm just trying to get them to take the money, but that's a massive ask. I know the Health Minister is working on the next tranche of who needs to access cheaper or free doctors. Nothing's free in this world. This is going to cost, and they will cost. So that's what it is. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I'm not going to allow a supplemental on that, because I shouldn't have allowed the question in the first place. So, Deputy Herrera.
Thank you, sir. I welcome this move, but it says products to be available for learners in school. Can we please then therefore ask how they're going to get the products they need when they're not actually in school during weekends, holidays, etc.? Thank you, sir.
We did have discussions with that, and I actually think that, and I will have to check where as far as the Education Minister, because we were really concerned at least with the 6 weeks holiday and possibly the 3 weeks over Christmas. I think we may have an answer. I think that's probably budgeted for, and we would people who would take them with them. But the finer points will have to come out as it goes along. But we did discuss that because that was very concerning for me.
Supplemental? Does anyone else have any questions for this Minister? There's a few minutes left. No? Very well. That concludes
May I
questions.
propose the adjournment, please, sir?
Indeed, that concludes questions of the Minister. The adjournment is proposed. It seems a reasonable time to take that, so we adjourn until 2:15.